Hello.
Hey,
And
what is up?
Hey, everybody.
Hey,
Welcome to Shattermare Live, episode 10. Oh my God, we're already on 10 episodes. This is crazy.
10,
Um,
really?
yeah, I thought we'd quit after like 4, to be honest.
Yeah,
But
we could
I am
check
joined.
your. I think we're on like 6 or 8 or something. Well,
No, man, I promise you, because I have them in the past
okay.
StreamYard. It has
Nope.
the past episodes. But so, anyways, I'm joined here by my esteemed colleagues William and Kyle. How's it going, guys?
yeah, sure. Esteemed. Okay.
Yes, we are full of
Uh,
steam.
You are esteemed. I have to come up with a different intro every episode, so I've just gotta cycle through the platitudes. Would you prefer me to roast you every opening?
That might help.
Like, hey everybody, welcome. I guess I have guest co-hosts. They're fat and gay. Introduce yourselves. Is that better?
Sure, why not?
That's all right. Next time you'll have a little more in there.
I'll have some material prepared. Yeah, I've been watching a lot of Kill Tony lately, so I'm down for the roasts.
Yeah, they're pretty crass on there. I was listening
Yeah,
to it on the
it's
way back
great.
from Heroes Con.
Oh hell yeah. Yeah, I love that. It's and they're all in Austin at Joe Rogan's mothership, so they can say what they want to
I
say.
mean, it's up and down because sometimes the crass stuff is kind of lazy.
Yeah, I think if you do stand up and you just, I think probably the most lazy, easy thing to talk about is like sex.
Yeah.
So,
No.
Well, what's
um,
interesting? The interviews are interesting on that because it's like
yeah, the
I
interviews
don't
are
know, like
cool.
I as someone who like runs into a lot of like real people from a lot of different areas, like in my day to day job, like those are the most realistic people. Like the people they interview on there are so real. Like that's your average
Yeah,
American right there.
for sure. Yeah, I mean they're bucket pools too. It's not like staged. So these people come from all walks of life for sure. Well, and the interviews are interesting to me because like some people who are unfunny, they continue to try to be funny in the interview. I don't know if you saw that. So they'll like keep trying to do bits,
Yeah, they're
and
trying to do material in the
yeah,
interview
they're
and
trying to do material like they tried to
they're
plan for the
working it
interview.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're like, just stop. Oh, you're still
The
doing a
interviews are
bit.
more fun than
Okay.
the actual stand up. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
the stand
exactly.
up bits are. There was one guy he's like I've been doing stand up for like 15 years, and I'm like, what?
You're like, holy shit, and you're this awful.
Really? Even the host was like, holy shit, this guy started before I did.
Yeah. Oh, Tony. Yeah. Oh, and then you have Red Band, yeah, who's been doing comedy probably for like 30 years or however long. Yeah, but it's great. And then the funny people, like they're just naturally funny, so they can carry a conversation. And then you've got the guest panelists, which are mostly comedians, but sometimes you get some interesting ones. So
Huh.
yeah, I recommend it. It's great. And yeah, like Kyle said, they can say whatever they want. They aren't beholden to. So they left L.A. from the Comedy Store to go to Austin, so they can do comedy again. They don't have a bunch of like professionally offended people in the audience.
And what are they
Oh,
called?
I'd be curious to
The
see.
so it's a podcast. It's called Kill Tony, and it's
Oh,
actually like one. I guess one of the. It's like the number one live podcast. And so
huh.
what they do is it's this comedian who has like mastered the art of roasting people, but he started, and this podcast has been going on for like 11 years or like over 10
Huh.
years. But so they have like their regulars, right? But they'll bring on just random like people that show up and sign up and travel to the Joe Rogan's mothership in Austin to do a 1 minute set in front of like a literal audience, like a live audience at the comedy at the venue or whatever. And then they're live streaming it, and that's getting like millions of views on their YouTube channel or whatever. So some people literally would like make their comedy career there, and then a lot of people are just really bad because it actually, shockingly takes talent and timing and skill and a little bit of luck to actually be funny, especially when you're
Yeah.
doing stand up, like to deliver prepared material so naturally. So,
Yeah. Comedy clubs around here, I think, are pretty much dying out. We have a few. I know San Francisco had the Punchline, which was pretty popular.
yeah,
But I can't. That's an Embarcadero. I can't imagine that doing well because most of that shit's gone. I mean, it's turned. San Francisco is basically turned into a ghost town.
yeah, it's pretty sad. Yeah, there's like a little local hotel that gets some pretty big names here. And Jackson will come through. So sometimes it's interesting because it's almost like I don't want to say underground, but it's cool because it's kind of like a little underground. It's like a Ramada Inn, so you wouldn't expect you know like big-ish people to come through if they're not doing arenas. But yeah, like I went there and saw like Tom Green once. After he was done making his movies from the '90s and everything. But people like that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've seen some people from here to LA, but like in Sacramento, the Punchline there is above a Blimpies. So it's like a strip
Nice.
mall, double decker strip mall, but it's above a. At least it
Yeah,
was. I don't even know if that
but it's
Blimpies.
like an actual comedy club, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But it is kind of high end on the inside. So, 2 drink minimum. I think Punchline might be part of a chain. So it reminded me a lot of what San Francisco had. It was a 2 drink minimum,
Uh,
and it was pretty nice inside. Kind of had like a jazz type atmosphere and things like that. Um, and then we have another club around here called Rooster Tea Feathers, and a lot of good up and comers come through there. But I can't imagine being a comedian now, and especially in the Bay Area for crying out loud. Like,
yeah, that's why I think a lot of them probably go to like they're either in like New York or somewhere in or Austin or Texas or Florida or Denver maybe. I've heard Denver, Colorado gets a lot of aspiring people. So I
yeah,
don't know. I mean, I don't do stand up personally. I'm just I'm just listening to people mostly on that show or like podcast, comedians podcast. They talk about it.
I mean, a lot of people like start around here, like Dana Carvey and a few others, and then they just had to go to LA because it just
Right.
it's like you're not going to make much of a living up here, so you got to hit the Comedy Store and you got to get in there and stuff like that. But
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think it is what it once was, and I think Joe Rogan really has a gold mine on his hands, as if he needs it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. And then Dave Chappelle opened up a comedy club in Ohio in his hometown, but
Yeah,
it's not exactly a destination spot. So, but it would be interesting to go to, especially if he just randomly shows up,
well,
can
and
do
the
like
thing
a
is
10-minute
that
set.
he lives like he a lot of people ask him, why do you still live there? And he's like, he kind of referenced The Simpsons. He goes, I'm the crusty clown of this town, semi celebrity comedian, and yeah, he never wanted to live in LA or New York. And I don't blame him. I actually respect that. He
Right.
wants to be a guy there and then he can go where he needs to go. And
Yeah, it's not like he doesn't have the money to just fly to the city, whenever he wanted.
see, like, here's the thing, Austin, like where Joe Rogan opened up, it's a shithole. I mean, it's San Francisco all over again. The actual area of
Right.
the town. Austin used to be. I went there in 94, 95, somewhere around there to do some work for a company when I was in electronics here. And it was the Silicon Valley of the South. It was nice. It was clean. It was really cool. And from what I've heard, it has turned into San Francisco, where it's just like
Yeah,
bored,
it's attracted all the same problems as LA
homeless,
and San Francisco.
homeless tents up and down, like right outside his comedy store. There's a whole line of homeless
Yeah,
encampments. Like,
the
Bunch
great
of
part with
people
that
like
comment
shooting
is that
up and
half
stuff.
the people that hear you say Austin is like San Francisco take that as an insult, and the other half take it as a compliment. So
okay,
nobody's really going to
well,
disagree with you.
yeah, yeah. I guess you could look at it both ways. Okay, good for you, Austin. All right.
Keep Austin
Moving
weird.
on. So, anyways, yeah. So, this past weekend, Kyle and I were at a little convention called Heroes Con in Charlotte, North Carolina. Speaking of homeless people in the cities, and
Really? Was it like
yeah,
that?
no, it wasn't too bad. Although we did walk by and there was just this broken glass window. Oh, and they went back, Kyle. They went back and they broke the window and stole the rest of the glasses or whatever. But yeah, there was just like a
What?
random. Oh, that must have been with other people. We were talking about that. You didn't walk by that with me. So, in one of the hotels or like bars, you know how they'll have a window and they'll be like displaying a glass of wine or something, like a bottle of
Yeah.
wine. Yeah,
Yeah.
so there was a shattered window because someone broke into the window to steal the wine there, and then they
Damn.
kept breaking it to steal the wine glasses. I guess they came back.
Hooligans.
Yeah, so it's still got shitty city life problems and everything's super expensive now. Like it's like we stayed in this pretty nice like a VRBO. It was like a townhome or a condo, but if you were to buy it, holy shit, like it's super expensive. It's just the people who own it and manage it or some real estate investment company. So, um, but yeah, no, the show itself is great. So it's Heroes Con. It's by put on by the Heroes Aren't Hard to Find folks, and they've had a comic shop in Charlotte forever. So, but yeah, we had pretty much the whole crew. We're gonna
So
try
it's
to
a
get
shop
William
that
out.
puts on a convention?
It well, so it's the same people who own the comic shop, and then they put on the convention. If that makes sense. So like, it's not like it's not necessarily like it's the comic shop, but like people who own that shop are people who run the. And then of course they always have like a dealer booth there for their store,
Okay.
if that makes sense. So it'd be like if one of your local comic shops also put on a convention. It'd be like if the people who did San Diego
Good.
Comic Con also had like the comic shop or whatever, something like that.
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, there it was a great show. We pretty much that's why I my voice is still partially gone right now. We were screaming and shouting and talking all weekend, and yeah, it's you probably don't hear like most people. I don't know. I'd venture to guess a lot. Most people who are just kind of like casually into comics, they don't know about this show. But this is probably one of the few shows that's actually all about comics. Like it's one of the few shows that are for comics. There's a ton of indie people there. We'll go through a list of some of the people that were there and that we met, and that people in our sphere of indie comics that we met there. And there's a lot of artists that are brought in there, indie artists, modern like Marvel DC artists, some of the veterans. So we can go into the type of guests they get there, and then yeah, it's pretty much like an industry event where you can actually network and meet people in the comic industry. Crazy. So and we got to get you out next year, especially if we can plan maybe do like a launch party there or something, William, or if I could just get you a cheap flight because
Yeah.
Frank and his wife came out. Luke was there with Flying Feline, his girlfriend Jen.
Yeah. He,
Yeah, we
he
had a
drove.
blast.
I think he's in South Carolina right now, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, he's staying there before he comes comes back to Florida. But yeah, no, we had a great time. It's so they do so you have a it's a 3 day show. We got there early, set up Friday, and then it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and one of the coolest things is a big tradition for them. They have a art auction. Well, they have okay. Let me back up a second. They have like basically three different types of art auction. They have Friday night is they have a drink and draw. So artists can go get. I guess they have these official coasters now. So it'll say like Heroes Con 2024, and then you do a sketch on it, like a little sketch. Like a sketch blank sketch cover, like a sketch card, just the size of a coaster, and then people can buy the coaster. So you can have, anywhere from like literally Chris Claremont, if you wanted to like Irene Strakowski or anyone that's there, Scotty Young, like those kind of people, just drinking, draw, and have a good time, and then anyone else could draw. It's like a family event. So like, parents can bring their kids there to encourage them to practice their drawing skills, and then there's like a cash bar so that parents can drink. It's a place for all the artists and exhibitors to go hang out, and it's in the hotel, the West End, literally across the street from the convention center. So so that's Friday, and then Saturday night is the art auction where you get some pretty heavy hitters where they can submit a whole piece to be auctioned off. And I mean, you have some serious collectors in there because some of these pieces go for tens of thousands of dollars, like thousands of dollars up to like to $15,000. Maybe I should say 10, but so there's some people dropping a lot of money in there, and yeah, it's like a huge variety. Wish I had pictures to upload and share on the screen right now. But yeah, so I almost told
I've
Luke
seen
to.
plenty on Twitter. I saw a lot on Twitter, and
Okay, so there you go. Yeah, so you go to
yeah,
the
and
Heroes
Cy and
Con.
Shay were they were on, or Cy was on topic list and showed some more pictures from it. So I got a pretty good
Nice.
idea of what went on. Obviously, not many pictures from the party at the Westin on Saturday.
Yeah, you're not gonna get a ton of those. But if you go to, I guess, go to X for the viewers at home. Go to, the Heroes Aren't Hard to Find or Heroes Con,
They were
Twitter,
Flying
Instagram.
Feline has all the pictures she took.
There you go. Yeah, go check out Flying Feline. Give her a. That's true. She did a really good job of basically cataloging and putting our whole weekend into chronological order for the X. So shout out to Jen for helping us with that. She
Yeah,
came by, took pictures of us at the booth and the art that we were working on. And so yeah, I said, Luke, you maybe you should put that up for auction and just see what it gets. But then William's probably going to be pretty pissed that you put up the piece for auction and you didn't let him get first dibs on it. So he ended up not doing that. But
How far ahead of time do you think all those artists are doing their pieces for that auction?
uh like some of them are pieces that they've had, like who was it who was it Finch, Daniel Finch, uh William, help me out with this. uh his last name is Finch.
Atticus.
No.
I've heard. I can't remember the first name either. Sorry.
Oh shit.
I don't
Okay,
know.
anyways, it was him or someone I'm thinking of. They put their original art for issue 10 of Walking Dead up, like the actual original
Bob
art for the
Finch.
cover. Sorry,
Is it? Is it Bob
David
Finch?
Finch. Thank you,
David.
Frank. David Finch. Yeah. So like they put their original art with the on the blue page for the cover they did, and they auctioned that off. And
Hmm.
then some people, you could tell they did it probably like the first day, or preparing, because it's not like their pieces were super complicated. So so it's not like it probably took them like a month to do. Also, hey, shout out to Frank in the chat. Um, but yeah, so I'd say it varies. Some people, it's probably just something they had prepared or they were working on and threw up there. So, but yeah, that
So
was
I don't know
super
how much it
fun.
would cost like cumulatively to do, but how much of a flex would it be if you could afford to just get everyone to do their piece for the auction and just have it be Hardly Hero stuff or Mercenary Guild stuff or whatever? So every piece
I
that
mean,
came up, it's like instead of being Batman or something, it's like, and this is Arbeck. Is that how you pronounce it?
yeah, I
Everyone's just like, I don't
mean,
know, $10,000. Okay.
yeah, I mean, if you could somehow commission literally everyone in that room, but
It's like, hey, you're gonna make money off. Well, actually, you're not gonna make money off this because you're doing it for
yeah,
the
it's just a
auction.
convention.
So it's kind of like I'm paying you to do something you were going to be doing for free.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I mean, there was someone there that did a piece of Indie Island, so they did a cool little island drawing, and that was
oh,
supposed to
I
be
did
like
see the
Heroes Con.
rest in peace for what was the guy? The guy that committed suicide we talked about in a previous episode.
Oh, Ed
They had
Piskor?
they had a
They
big
had
banner.
they did. Oh shit.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, there you go. So
I
someone
noticed it because like that was when we were closing up, so everybody cleared out.
hmm, like in the on the show floor.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, okay.
It's interesting to see what you know how they sat on that topic because it's like a I could see them going either way on that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's good that they're, I guess, giving him some respect. Um. Yeah, and you have a pretty wide range of people that go to the show. So you're gonna see people, all different types of artists and people. Um, but yeah, so they do the art auction, and then that's just another night, Saturday night, for people to hang out and drink and talk and network and stuff. So it's or just go down to the bar, at the hotel. So you had that, and then Sunday afternoon they did basically another smaller art auction during the show. But so that's kind of the schedule. The rest of the schedule is pretty much a normal convention schedule. You've got your show floor hours, you've got all your artists and vendors and exhibitors there, and we're all selling stuff to people, and they have panels throughout the weekend of different artists and stuff. And this one was a little interesting because they had, I guess, some podcasters. So they had like booths. They would invite people to come up and do interviews and stuff. Um,
Oh,
but yeah,
well, it
so
seems like
we,
it was Western comics focused, and
Yeah, I would figure.
so there
yeah, for
wasn't Hollywood, there wasn't manga, there wasn't
no,
this upcoming
not a bunch of
film.
Hollywood. Yeah, not a
Yeah.
bunch of Hollywood bullshit. Not a bunch of pop culture stuff. I mean, there's still some vendors there. I mean, actually, the vendor floor for the most part was just like wall to wall comic dealers. So that was pretty interesting. But yeah, you had some people like I see at a bunch of the shows we like the bigger shows in Florida that we do. There's like this company that sells fudge, and for some reason
Man, they're at
the
every con.
fudge they're at every one. Yeah, I see them all the time. So I guess they do well.
Really?
So there's some people like that. There's like someone that was a
There was a
coffee
State
selling
Farm
like,
booth.
oh yeah, they had a State Farm booth. There's like a boutique tea vendor, coffee. There's people selling like Pokemon cards. So there's people selling like toys and statues and stuff. So there's a little bit of that still, but it
I
wasn't
always get
just
cracked
like,
up.
huh?
I always get cracked up by like the one like insurance company that decides they need to come to a convention and that's
Yeah, like a local office was like, "Hey guys, we're gonna put together this. There's a big show here this weekend. Get your booth
like
ready.
New
We're
York
gonna
Life
sell
shows
some.
up one weekend.
And
Yeah, we're gonna sell some life insurance.
Luke showed some of the stuff. I guess he did a Power Ranger sketch cover for somebody while he
Yep.
was there, and
Yeah.
he also got a piece stolen from him.
Wait, what? Really?
Yeah, he had
I didn't
one
hear
of his
about that.
prints. It was on Flying Feline put it on Twitter, and they also somebody lifted it off the table. One of his I think it might have been Nightmare Before Christmas prints or something like that.
Oh shit.
Like three
Well,
of
that
them there.
sucks.
I don't think it was original though. I think it was just a print.
Okay. They just walked by and took the prints.
Yeah, I just
All
walked
right.
by.
Well, that's not too bad. He can get those. I mean, it still sucks. Now I'm thinking like, Kyle, did you let someone come by and lift shit off the table? Who was manning the
I
booth?
Did you guys have separate
I
tables though, or
No, well, we did, but they're right next to each other. Like
oh,
I could reach out and touch Luke. Like the tables were basically connected.
okay,
yeah,
So
he had a
three
print stolen
stacks
from him. I
and
mean,
or three
who knows who was at
sets.
the table when it happened, but
yeah, so who knows? Because we were all running. We were running around. We'd be like, okay, watch the table, and
I mean, it's
then
easy
some
to
of
steal
us would
stuff.
go. Yeah, for
If you really
sure. I
want
mean,
to steal
someone.
stuff, it's real easy. Especially if you have like a
I'm
two
pretty.
man operation, someone you
I'm
start
pretty
talking
sure
to
someone.
someone.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure someone came by and like stole some stickers. Kids probably came by and were just like, "Oh, we'll take a sticker." So, I mean, I'm
So yeah,
glad.
having shiny stickers.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, again, at least they took stuff that's easily replaceable. Because if they if they known how much some of the stuff is that we have back there, you know what I mean? Like, ugh.
Yeah,
So
but just the fact
yeah,
that
that's sucks.
somebody would do that would just you know, kind of puts a damper on things. But they didn't let it get to them. So
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I didn't hear about it, but I'll have to tell Luke if you
yeah,
want.
Flying Feline tweeted it. Was it maybe Saturday? I don't know,
Um,
or maybe Sunday. Some wasn't,
See, that's how
but
little I pay attention to our Twitters.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
I'll
I guess it's cool that somebody thinks enough of it to, I guess, take it. But they're still
I mean,
taking
that's the
from
silver
you.
lining approach.
yeah, no, that's still pretty annoying, and I wouldn't have expected that one because that one you also don't have a ton of people cosplaying.
Yeah, that was another
Oh, it
question I had.
happened late. Oh, it happened late Sunday. Oh, okay. So, yeah. So late Sunday, yeah, we were either packing up or we were all running around last minute trying to, catch our flights and go get signatures and go visit people. So who
Do you
knows?
bring stuff for them to sign, or do you get it at the table?
Um, this time I did not. So, uh, I am really terrible at that because I'm so worried about planning for the show. Uh,
No, you got to
I
put a lot of thought into what you want
yeah
signed.
yeah you got to really well. It's a lot of logistics. Yeah, like planning. So if it's a show where like our friends will come and I know they'll tell like they'll say, oh well, this guy and that guy's there. Like I totally spaced. I didn't even think Chris Claremont's going to be there. What I did was he had some books on the table, and then this one artist, friend of ours that's there, Kyle Willis. He has he does a bunch of different stuff, but he had like a Wolverine collage skateboard deck, and I was like, yeah, I could get books or whatever, but this is a little more interesting. So I went and picked up. It's a Wolverine. He did basically an homage of a Todd McFarlane cover,
Yeah.
and so I went and picked up the skateboard deck. Supported him, gave him some love, and then went over to Chris Claremont's table. And I was actually the second person to get a skateboard deck signed, but I figured that'd be cool to hang up in the office or something. So and then this guy in line was like, "Hey, you should get that." And then there's this other artist over there who did this and go sign it. And I guess Frank Miller did a lot of those old Chris Claremont run interior art. So I'm like, you know what? Cool. If I see Frank Miller again at MegaCon, maybe I'll, get him a sign. So it just depends. I mean, a lot of people, yeah, they're they're showing up with like boxes of books. They're
Yeah.
just like so. And then some people like that's why a lot of the dealers they know who's going to be there. So the dealers will bring a bunch of books that it's like hey, this is this is a whole box of books you can pick up to go have this guy sign. So it's a little bit of both, but I'd say probably more people are there, especially if you're like a couple of our buddy, like Luke had an old trade of X-Men couple actually, and our buddy Casey was there, and they're like, "Oh man, I grew up reading this X-Men. I just want him to sign it. So just sentimental. They go, I want to meet the guy and just tell him I'm a fan and have a conversation. So so yeah, there's some of that, run around and get signatures. There's a lot of people who come up from Florida, so we'll see people that we know, that we've seen a few months back just to say hi. Um,
Yeah, yeah. It seemed like when
yeah,
it came to
so,
pros, there was quite a few there.
It's an interesting
yeah,
location in terms of like, the Florida people make it up, but then also you run into a lot of people that you don't see at the Florida conventions because they're from up in
which is
like
nice.
Maryland
Yeah,
or New York or whatever.
yeah, they're coming down from up north, so a lot of people
So
from
like
all over the
still,
East Coast.
yeah,
Yeah, so yeah, and then it was interesting because I've seen people that I've been on streams with, or I've seen their content or whatnot, and they were there. So like, remember William? We were on the Writ and Writ with Von Coleman.
yeah.
So he was there helping out someone at their booth, and he walks over or near our table, and I shout him out. I'm like, "Hey, how's it going, buddy? It's this guy." He's like, he gives me this look like, "Who the fuck are you?" And I remember, oh yeah, I don't have my camera on right now on all these streams, so he has no idea who I am, and I already lost my voice, so it's not like he's gonna remember me by voice. So I reintroduced myself, and he was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, hey." I was like, "Yeah, man, and then he knows Luke, and then Shay and Sai from Red Valkyrie, they came hang out because it wasn't too far for them to drive down. So that was interesting meeting them. Shay is a pretty tall uh, woman,
Yeah.
so it's not every day I see someone almost as tall as me. So I'm like, damn, you're a lot tall. It's the opposite. Normally, you're like, man, I thought you'd be taller in person. She's pretty tall. Yeah, Jen, obviously, flying feline. Jen was super cool. Um, her and Luke are funny. Like, like they're an entertaining pair of people to hang out with. Who else? Irene. Uh, Irene that does the Fiendish book.
Mm-hmm.
She was there, so I got to meet her. I'm like, oh, I'm a fan. I've seen your streams and stuff, and we traded books. So I can read through Fiendish finally. So once
Yeah,
once
it's
you
good.
once you once you have Mercenary Guild out, there you go, William. It's a cheap way to get, get other indie content creator. You're just like, here, I'll
Yeah,
trade you a book. Trade you
yeah.
my book. So
No, that's not a bad way to go about it. I think
yeah,
Luke,
man.
yeah, you guys picked up quite a bit of pretty cool stuff from what I've seen and heard.
Yeah, we picked up some interesting stuff. There's a guy. Ah, shit, I'm gonna forget his name, but I have his book. I'm thinking about it. He was there to see Luke, and I got to chat with him a little bit. He was kind of giving out um, like a sample ash can, I guess, of a spin-off from the main series he's working on, but he's working on a book that he's going to launch a campaign for. I don't remember if he said a date or when, but the little sample he showed us was phenomenal. I mean, like the level of talented indie creators you have going to that show and hanging out is awesome.
Huh.
Like it's just interesting to be around all these different types of talented people. And here I am like, yeah, I'm the publisher. I just, I just I just signed the checks. It's okay. I'm hanging out with you guys. I'm just here to drink whiskey and sell comic books.
Yeah.
So um but yeah, and then there's some guys that, we see at this point, they go there yearly, we go there yearly, so it's yeah, it's good times. And then by the time we got back to Airbnb from drinking and eating and running a booth, we were all pretty much exhausted every day. So we just go back and crash.
How was how far was the Airbnb from Didn't you? Why didn't you stay
Not,
Weston
no.
also?
What were you saying?
Oh, and why didn't you stay at the Weston if it was right there?
So we were trying to stay closer, but the person, I'm not going to throw him under the bus. I'm just going to say the person that was under, that it was their job to book all of our hotel rooms, did not book all the hotel rooms. So, but it was also like 8 or 9 of us. You know what I mean? So, like at that point, if you have that many people, you might as well just get, I know, an Airbnb. So, and it's not bad. It's like 10, 11 minute drive away. I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
Charlotte's a really small, like they have a small downtown. It's a small city, so you can get pretty much from out of like downtown proper in like 5, 6 minutes, and there's not a ton of traffic, like compared to other cities.
Yeah, compared to
So
Orlando.
yeah, Orlando's miserable. Like if you're not staying near MegaCon or whatever convention, if you're near the convention center, then forget it. You just have to. You might as you're going to be like an hour, or you're going to be like a half an hour to an hour outside of the wherever you're staying because it's just the traffic's awful. But yeah, Charlotte's pretty nice. I mean, like it. We didn't really miss anything not staying in a hotel. I mean, the only difference is we had to pay for parking. Where some of the other guys they were just paying for parking because they were staying at the hotel at the Westin or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I kind of like being able to have an Airbnb because it's I don't know. I mean, it's two philosophies. Obviously, if you're going to convention, like you either want to be right near the action all the time and it's super convenient, or you want to be able to check out and just leave. So, like, after you're done with the show, you don't have to deal with any of the bullshit surrounding the event. You're just like, okay, I'm done. I'm gonna go outside, even if it's like, 10 minutes
Yeah.
away from the convention center, and I'm just gonna relax. And so that's kind of how I am at this point after doing like 2 years of shows. like, and I used to go to conventions when I was younger, where I would try to stay in hotels, and party all weekend and be right next to where all the action was happening. But at this point, I kind of like to disconnect. Where okay, we did it. We were at the booth for the day. We went to the art auction. We hung out for a couple hours. We visited. We said hi to everybody. Okay, let's go. Time to go back and get some sleep before the next day. So,
Huh.
uh, yeah. So, and then after that, just depends on the price. Like if you don't get the block rate for a hotel for the event that you're going to, it's going to be so much more expensive.
I'm sure. Yeah.
So that's a big part of it, depending on when you book your lodging. So, but yeah, it's pretty nice. It's pretty convenient. It's not as miserable to get to the convention center there as it is like Orlando or like Miami, or I'm sure some of these other cities like Atlanta, probably I imagine New York or Chicago or San Diego.
Yeah.
Like you kind of have to stay. You kind of have to stay in a
Stay
hotel.
like walking distance, or you can just walk across to the.
Yeah, because those cities are so big that I mean, you're talking about like major metropolitan areas. If you're gonna stay, even your Airbnb is just gonna be an apartment. Like it's not like you're gonna be able to stay in the burbs. Otherwise, you're probably driving like 2 hours with traffic. So it's just not feasible. So, which is why, well, part of kind of our hesitancy to, or our reluctance to do some of these other shows that require a lot of travel, just because just all the logistics and expense of going there and staying somewhere near the convention, not even like the table fee, just all the extra expenses have kind of kept us from doing that for now.
Yeah.
Because it's like, if you're trying to go to a convention and be an exhibitor, I mean, you better be damn sure you're gonna make some money off. Otherwise, it's just a marketing expense.
That's yeah. That's all. That's all you're going to get out of it.
And nowadays, like, look how easy it is to build a direct market to people just through social media.
Yeah, I mean, you
You
might
know,
hand out a few cards or something, but will you actually hear? Who knows? You know.
yeah, exactly. So like, there's a handful of. I mean, we don't even have physical business cards anymore. I just carry around like a little dot QR code scan card, and they can
Yeah.
scan it and go to our Linktree or dot account or whatever. So yeah, because unless it's like someone you're trying to do business with, it's like most people they're not gonna keep a business card. So yeah, I give Heroes Con a big thumbs up. We'll be going again next year because for the bigger shows that we do, it's much, even if we don't make a ton of money, which if you're indie comics, you're not going to make a ton of money at really any show that you're doing. So, and if people tell you like, oh yeah, I killed it today, they're lying. They're like, by them killing it, they're like, I paid for my table, thank God, is what they're thinking in their head. They're just bullshitting you to make themselves feel better.
Did you sell
Uh,
okay? Hardly Heroes.
yeah, we did okay. So we I'd have to go back and do the math. I think we either broke even on the table or came close. Like, we didn't break even when it came to, like, overall parking and food and lodging and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, in fact, I think they had less attendance this year because everyone was saying that, yeah, even on a Saturday it seemed slower. Like, I think we did worse this year than the past 2 years. Um, but again, I feel way better about doing worse at an event like this, where I enjoy meeting people that I've only talked to. It's like when you go on a business conference trip for like your day job. If you go to like a lawyer or paralegal convention or whatever, and you're like, oh hey, I've worked with this client or whatever, or I've worked with these people across the country. It's nice to meet them in person. Put a face to that. That's what it feels like. It feels
Yeah.
like that for comics. Like, oh hey, I've been on your show, I've talked to you guys, that kind of stuff. Or like, hey, I love to get on your podcast and talk about comics and the company and everything. So stuff like stuff like that. Um, whereas other shows, it, I mean, even if we do okay and make money and pay for the table and everything, if it's profitable, it all just kind of feels like marketing. You're just in like a sea of people, and you're not even really with a lot of independent comic creators. You're in like a sea of artist alley people selling like soaps that are shaped like Goku or Pikachu or whatever.
Yeah.
Just like whatever random artist alley crafts table that they have. So whereas this feels like more like a community, it feels more like this is where our people are. So um yeah, so I highly recommend it if you're in our space, independent creator, comic books. Even if you just go, not even to get a table, or be an
Yeah.
exhibitor,
Just
just to
fan.
go and check out all the cool books that people were there. Like, I mean, Luke knew even more people than I that were there. He was telling us about like, what's his buddy's name? Fraga,
Yeah.
Frag.
Yeah.
He
Damn.
was there. Yeah, Frag. Yeah. Let's see. They said I remember his first name, Drew. I think Drew Morris or somebody. I don't know. There's a couple, like I said, a couple people from Jacksonville, artists that I ran into and saw and got to talk to, and there's some people, a couple artist cards I grabbed because I just really like their style. It's cool. I mean, the art they do is awesome. Got their contact to add them to our roster of artists for variant covers on books.
Cool.
So we're a potential variant cover for Mercenary Guild or Victor, or, whatever. So so there's that as well. That's why I like going as a publisher, because I can meet all these artists for stuff that we're working on,
Yeah.
different
Then they know
projects
you're
or
legit.
ideas.
you know.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean and then as far I don't know, as far as conventions go, like you'll probably do better just building an audience and talking to them directly, starting a YouTube channel, get on social media,
For sure.
do podcasts and stuff. I don't know if
And
necessarily
people like
convention.
also people have a limited budget, so they go to a con and they can buy like some classic comics, or I'm sure it costs money to have things signed, and sometimes it's tough to to take a chance on an indie book from Artist Row. Just
Yeah, yeah, and or vice versa. We got lucky or almost got extra lucky because some people are going and they're just trying to see like, oh, is this the next big indie book to blow up? So I
yes,
might buy it and get it. Like Luke, he got a free comic book day commission, and then I guess now CGC was doing a bunch of books that they grade in person, like all in one weekend. So we got that sketch cover graded, came back as 9.8. I gave it to the guy today. He was super happy about it. And you can get your witnesses, get golds and signature series. Everyone's crazy about that. So that's cool. So sometimes you get lucky and you've got collectors, investors that are there to pick up just whatever they see that's interesting. So
yeah,
um, yeah, I would I would recommend that if you're an indie creator, if you put out a first your first official product, like whatever you put out. I mean, I'm conflicted when it comes to getting things slabbed and graded. Like I think personally, there's a lot of speculation in it, and
yeah,
eventually, like any bubble, it's gonna burst, and then all this money people have spent grading comics is gonna be complete bullshit. And the people that are gonna be laughing their way to the bank are gonna be CGC that just
yep,
charge people millions of dollars in fees to grade them.
yep,
Um, but for a creator, like there is a perception of value there for now. So if you're an independent, I would recommend getting like your first print, your first edition. I would recommend getting some of those graded. You don't need to go crazy, but like especially if it's like a limited run. Like
yeah,
a lot of guys in our space are doing crowdfunding, right? So like yeah, get some of those graded, and then if people walk by the table, you're like, hey, I've got 9.8, my
yeah.
first book. So what are you gonna say?
Well, yeah. I mean, I look at it like this. Like I know some creators have their stuff graded, but then you have to look at it. Is there ever going to be a market for this? I some. Uh,
Right. Yeah.
is
I
this
mean,
really ever going to go up in value, especially when they print 50,000 copies of an indie
yeah,
book?
you have to have discipline. You can't I guess be quote unquote greedy. There's an easy way for people to go overboard where they fuck up the value of their thing on the secondary market where they're like, you want it to be limited. You want to have a lower supply and a higher demand. So price goes up, but then you look at that and you're like, wait, but I want to make that money. So I want to print as much of these as possible. But then, yeah, if you print a billion of them or 50,000 of them, they're going to be worthless.
Yeah, I
You're
mean,
going to
for
be sitting
somebody
on a
in the
bunch of
know, they
inventory.
would have to do some background to really, and that'd be questions you probably have to answer. Like, okay, only 2,500 were printed. We only had maybe 10 graded. So, and that's something.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like if you have a handful of them graded, I think that's fine. It's when yeah you print 50,000 of them and then you also have a bunch graded and you're like, I, like to me it's like the presumption of hey look how cool and collectible this is going to be. You're going to want to get this,
Yeah, and
but
yeah, it's like I don't want to presume that. It's like
yeah,
because
but if it's something you have and you're at a show, and you're just sitting at the table, if you have it displayed on the table, it's not like you have like giant arrows pointing to it, like, hey, look at this thing lit up in neon signs. But if you just have it sitting on the table, then like you never know. So someone might come by and just say, hey, or the first time you build a legitimate fan base, as you're building a legitimate fan base, people are going to want to start investing and buying your stuff, which is what we're all referring to Eric July fucks up at,
Yeah.
where he thinks he has this massive built-in fan base, and then sure enough, like all these people are bailing on the book. But as you grow and you build that fan base, then if you don't do it, you'll regret it because you're like, oh man, because people will say, I want to get the awesome, most collectible version of your book, and right now the easiest way to do that is get it graded. So get signatures, get your artist signature, that kind of stuff. So I think it's worth. I mean, it's almost like you're investing in it yourself, right? Because it's saying like, okay, this original print run of whatever I'm doing, this first commercial version, uh, it's you just put it in the vault. You just put it in the vault like treasury stock, and you just sit on it, and you're like, okay, great. Well, worst case scenario is I spent the extra $40 to $60 or whatever it was paying to get graded, or a third party to grade it, or whatever to send it. And then best case scenario, you believe in your work and it blows up, and now all of a sudden this thing you have in your vault is like a down payment on your next house or something.
Oh,
So
I mean, that's kind of how collectibles work. You really don't know what's going to be
yeah,
valuable. It's why it's just be a fan. But if you try to make a collectible market, then you're probably going to fail.
yeah, you can't force something, but that's what all these people are trying to do. They're all like, that's why I'm saying it's a bubble, because everyone's trying to force. They're trying to like create all this FOMO constantly of, oh, look at this, we only did X 500 of them, even though there's like 500 guys doing 500 print runs of the same fucking Ultimate Spider-Man 1 cover. You know what I mean? Like the same Ninja Turtles Last Ronin cover. There's like 1,000 of those guys. So yeah, like you can definitely oversaturate the market, but if it's if it's something you
Well,
believe in, I guess.
I don't know if that Ultimate Spider-Man book is ever going to be worth anything. In fact, I don't know if really anything from this era will really be worth anything. But if you
I think
enjoy
I
it,
think that will
what should
be.
you be buying it for? Because
Yeah.
they sold over 100,000 copies in a month of the
Well,
first.
I think true, but they still do multiple print runs. So if you have the first edition, it's still more valuable than like the sixth print
Right.
run. No, I think that one I mentioned that one as an example because I think that actually does have the chance of being like one of the few modern books to actually have some sort of collectible, because it actually has a fan base. People are actually enjoying that book, and I say that, and my prediction I've already verified my prediction about that, which is when people look back on this era and they go, "Oh my god, look at all the derivative regurgitated covers that came out," and if you don't give a shit about a particular artist, like you're just looking at a sea of regurgitated covers, of a
Yeah.
book. Like it just looks like, oh, IDW did like 2000 Last Ronin cover A covers. That's all it looks like to someone picking it up. Um, but if you look at that Ultimate Spider-Man, if the most expensive one right now is cover A, issue 1, first printing. Like that's the most valuable one.
Okay.
So because I looked it up on eBay. I was curious. I'm like, should I go pick one up? And from what I saw, yeah, they're like upwards of $100 for cover
Really?
A. Yeah,
So
yeah.
surprised by that.
It Yeah, but to me, it's not surprising because it's like if you have a sea of uh just noise and like just people vomiting it out like a million different covers, the most uh the most quintessential version of that book is just going to be okay, cover A. This was the original cover. This is what Marvel came up with. This is the first print run of the book. This is what people are gonna, that's what they're gonna gravitate to. Not like random artist 432 from licensed internet comic company 63, you know. So I don't know.
Unless that artist
That's my
blows up,
opinion.
and then
Huh?
unless that
Yeah.
artist blows up.
Yeah, it has to be a really particular artist is what yeah, I agree. But like for the most part, all of these people that are just paying a license fee to get an exclusive cover and then they're just having some artist do it to like flip those, to sell overpriced cover A's, or not cover A, but issue one. Um, yeah, those aren't going to be worth anything. It's going to
I
be
mean,
that
and that price could come down too. I mean, sometimes there's
it
a
could, it
surge, and
could.
then demand kind of goes down, and see how it turns
Yeah,
out.
yeah. We'll see. We'll see in like 10 years if I'm vindicated, if it continues to hold the most value. But like you said, yeah, if there's a certain cover artist, sure, then that's the same thing as any collectible, really. You just get lucky because that's what people, you know, that's the most highly sought after artist. So, like at the Heroes Con art auction, are you familiar with Scotty Young, William?
A little bit,
His
yeah.
art. So he's the guy that does all the Marvel covers that look like Calvin and Hobbes, like
Okay, yeah.
little baby characters. Okay, his art auction piece sold for $15,000 this year. And it was
Wow.
just like a pretty crudely drawn version of Wolverine and Deadpool, like staring each other down.
Calvin
That
Hobbes
looked
is
like
nuts.
he did it like 2 days before the event.
No
Huh.
offense.
It didn't even, yeah, didn't even look like an original art for like a cover or a page.
Yeah, you just need one person in the room that really likes your art.
Yeah, but then everyone is gonna look at that auction and be like, okay, Scotty
Yeah. Well,
Young's
you know,
pieces
branding
are
and
worth.
style is very important. So you can look at one of his things and be like, "Oh, that was Scotty Young," without even having to ask.
That's a Scotty Young, right? Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. I'm just saying, like, to William's point, it just depends on the artist. For whatever reason, people loves for I guess multiple reasons. People love Scotty Young stuff, so they're
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
oh,
guys like Eric Liefeld will get stuff like that.
Liefeld,
Yeah,
yo,
and
Todd McFarlane,
yeah, though I mean, they could sell an original piece for five figures, no problem.
David Finch, that David Finch cover I was thinking of. I'm trying to remember what somebody told me we left before it sold, but I want to say it was like 6 to 10,000. I could be wrong, but it was in the thousands. So it's pretty crazy. The collectible markets. I guess it's really no different at this point than someone diversifying their portfolio by buying some expensive modern art piece, to pad their investments and uh, get a tax break. So
Huh.
yeah, that's a if you want to if you're really wealthy, then invest in high art, collectible art.
Yeah,
So
it's just
the
hard to know
little
what it is.
oh, it could be anything that's considered fine art or collectible art. Like an accounting trick you do basically is you can buy it. Obviously you buy it for its market value or whatever. Um, and so essentially that's what it's listed as. But then you can some of these you can just declare the value, and then so if you sell it later, um, you get either a massive tax break if you, you get the deduction of the expense, obviously, and then you have an asset, and then it tends to go up over time. There's even probably too much of a finance tangent for this podcast, but there's even like a mutual fund now, a company where you can invest in like a bunch of fractions of fine art pieces, like they hold
Yeah,
and sell.
they even did that with like the Declaration of Independence, where people, or even high-end
There you
sports
go. Yeah,
memorabilia, where you have all these. It's almost like a stock in a company.
yeah, exactly. It's just like buying stock.
Buy a share of a signed Babe Ruth baseball or something, and
Yeah, they're just splitting it up, so you don't need like $4 million, or like buying a piece of a real estate investment trust. Yeah, same
yeah,
thing. So it's yeah, everyone's trying to get rid of the US dollar because the US dollar is completely
yeah.
tanking. So it's interesting. But yeah, so that brings us I think that's mostly all I have to say about Heroes Con and conventions.
Did
I
you
could
drive
probably
there?
Yeah, we drove there.
Yeah.
It's not bad from here. It's like 6 hours, 5.5, 6 hours.
Yeah, because I know people in coastal Carolina, and they drive to
No,
Sanibel.
Conway.
I think it takes them 10 or 12, something like that, to go from coastal Carolina to Sanibel Island.
Oh,
10
where's
hours, I
Sanibel
think.
Island?
Fort Myers. It's off the coast of Fort
Oh,
Myers.
okay.
It's on the
Yeah,
west
down that
coast.
way. Right, by Tampa. Um, yeah, that makes sense because you have to cross into the other side, go
Yeah,
down,
to
and then
go all the
cross.
way through Carolina and then get out of it.
Yeah, yeah. So it's not too bad of a drive. Um, anything I could drive to in like a day. It's kind of my cutoff. So yeah, if you're on the East Coast, it's a good one. So anything else, Kyle, that I forgot to mention?
No, no, I think that's it. Um,
Did you sign a lot of things, Kyle? Or
of course,
all right.
always gotta keep the signatures flowing.
Yeah, we don't charge on anything. A lot of people charge for signatures, I guess, when they're fancy, when they're popular.
Yeah.
We're just giving them away right now. But if you order something on the website, you have to pay for a signature. So if you can see us in person, you should see us in person and get it signed for free. That's my plug for people coming to see us in person instead of ordering stuff off the website. So
All right.
let's see. What else you guys want to talk about? Man, so much has happened this week.
Well,
Last couple weeks.
just to, yeah. So there's another convention in Washington, and Aaron Lopresti will be there. And
Nice.
comics. It's in
You talked
Washington
about it.
State, SummerCon, so it's kind of but I think they're having comics for the first time. So for
This
anybody
guy.
in Washington area, uh, yeah, check it out. Looks like there are a lot of people there. It's kind of pop culture convention for the most part.
This is cool. Yeah, it looks like they do more actors and pop culture stuff. But
Yeah,
from what you're saying, they're adding comics, or they have comic guests this year.
yeah, that's what I saw on Twitter, and I heard that Aaron Lopresti's going to be there, and I'm a fan of what he's doing so
Nice.
far. But
That's the guy that does Wraith of God, right?
yeah, Wraith of God.
Nice. Yeah, they have a bunch of actors and voice actors.
Yeah, that's really
So
what it mostly is. But there might be a small comic area. I don't know.
let's see. They've
It kind of
created.
shows you the importance of comic books and
Oh, look, Mark
culture.
Brooks is going to be there,
Oh, okay.
but then also Timothy Zahn. That guy's cool.
Yeah.
He's the creator of the Thrawn
Yeah,
trilogy,
Ron Trudge.
the real Thrawn. You've Ryan Otley. He's the Invincible artist. Jim Starlin, I think he was there this past weekend. Frank Cho, modern artist. I don't know who this is. Seen this guy somewhere. Heard of this guy. I don't know who this is. Oh yeah, Aaron LePresti. There you go. Boom. That's cool. He's actually a featured guest.
Yeah. So for anybody in the
Right.
Washington area, just look it up, or
Stock
Washington
models.
State SummerCon.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm glad they actually got some some indie guys doing their own stuff. Like you have like these two guys, him and Derek Hunter, and then pretty much all of these, and then maybe this lady right here, and
Maybe.
then all these other people are Marvel. Well, Timothy Zahn's a writer,
Yeah,
so
he's a
I'm not going to
novelist.
include him. Ryan Otley, Marvel. I mean, Image also Marvel. DC, 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 and Marvel. Marvel is a Marvel. Can't tell. Yeah, Spider Man. Marvel. Marvel looks like Marvel. Marvel. So you have like a bunch of Marvel artists, and who are just doing derivative characters for
Yeah.
a company that they're not creating anything for their cover art. Well, Ryan Ollie actually did interior art, so he actually had a big hand in Invincible. So I'll give him that. But yeah, all of these are characters that are like 60 years old that none of these people have created, and most of these people, well, maybe I'm just talking about Mark Brooks. I shouldn't say most of them, but yeah, some of them are pretty
Yeah. So
resentful of the books that they're.
for him to be amongst them is, I think, pretty cool. Probably.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's yeah. My point is that's actually incredible because it's like these guys are actually creating their own art, their own characters.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm not sure what this lady created. Well, it looks like that's a Marvel book for young adults, so maybe I'll take that back. So, so, so these guys are actually making their own original characters and IP and story and art. Um, so good
Yeah,
for
which
them.
kind of begs the question: how did he get on that? It seems like. I mean, I don't know.
Well, I
Maybe
mean,
he's local. I
Irene
don't.
was a guest. Well, Irene was a guest artist at HeroesCon, I believe, and she did Fiendish, right, which is just
Yeah.
crowdfunded. It's not like she's with a major publisher.
Oh, okay. So she was featured then.
Yeah. So a lot of these, I mean, if you're an artist, it's a lot easier to get into a show, um, and get like a guest spot, or if you submit or to be invited, because it's easy to. That's why it's kind of funny that Timothy Zahn's on this list,
Yeah.
because people he's become a pretty prolific author, so people know about him. But for the most part, you see how all these people are artists
Yeah.
because it's easy for them to make money there off of sketches or remarks or signatures or people bringing their book by, just to like it's easy for the convention
Sell
to
prints, what have you.
yeah, sell prints, and then the convention make a cut of what they're charging folks to come in, to get signed or whatever, photo ops. Like, I mean, that's why like way more of the guests are voice actors and celebrity actors because they'll do like photo ops and stuff, and they'll charge you money for that.
Yeah.
But people who are actually in the comic world or into comics, like, I mean, I could ask you like the same thing about Mark Brooks, like how the fuck does he keep getting invites?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, Jim Shooter, this guy's a Marvel veteran.
Dude, he's the
So
guy, man. He got things done. Kept
yeah,
the
it's kind of
quality up.
funny.
God.
It's kind of funny that he's on the convention circuit.
He was at HeroCon though.
He was at Heroes, yeah.
Yeah.
But what I mean, didn't he? Is well, maybe I don't. Maybe I don't know the whole story, but was it he also a big editor there? Like he was like the head of Marvel
He
for a
was the
while.
editor. He was the
As
editor.
the editor in chief,
Yeah, he
and
did
then
not.
they
He
fucked
did
him
not.
over.
I think
Did
so.
they fire him?
I think so. There were a lot of complaints about him, which, he's just a guy getting stuff done. He didn't
Yeah.
let garbage cross his desk and go out on the shelves. You had to hit your
So
deadlines and you had to do good work.
right, yeah, you didn't put up with bullshit. But it's interesting that I mean, I guess it's not like necessarily that they're working with Marvel to get these artists, or they have, or also a lot of guys have agencies. So like they might be a part of an agency that tries to book events for them, But
Could be.
it it'd
But see,
be
that's not a very big roster. So to get on a roster like that, which is
yeah,
basically
good stuff.
because it's not a comic convention, it's not
Oh, they
dedicated.
don't have a bio for him. See, they have like bios for these guys. I forgot Dan Jurgen. He did the Death of Superman. That's cool. That makes sense. Yeah. I mean, it's also nice, I think, to see like some of these older guys doing shows. Like
Yeah.
it seems like I should say all, a lot of the modern, like I see modern Marvel and DC artists at like MegaCon and stuff.
Well, I don't think the younger people. I think they're appreciated. The older ones.
And
I mean,
yeah,
a lot of
yeah, the people who run these conventions. But yeah, so if you're
that's
in,
why
I guess
why Mark
Washington
Brooks
State,
is there, but he's not going to bring people in. But
yeah, no, people are there to see Timothy Zahn and Ryan Otley and Jim Shooter and Jim Starlin, Frank Cho. So Dan Jurgens and all these people. That's why they have the anime voice actors. Which these are all the dub versions, right? I guess that's a
I
stupid
would
question.
assume
Of course yeah. All right.
tons of anime.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're in the Washington State area, check out that one. Cool. Alrighty. Let's see. We've got a couple of random articles we could cover that I don't think we
Sure.
talked about last time.
Okay.
So this is one. Actually, let's do this one. This one Kyle sent over to me. From Bounding into Comics. This is where everyone goes to get their X reposts, I guess.
Yeah.
But this is basically just Bounding into Comics summarizing what everyone already knows. So I guess in Suicide Squad,
Yeah,
or
I
the
saw
Justice
this
League.
on Reddit.
Yeah, so they're trying to come out with some random.
They're
I
now
guess,
admitting it that they're uglifying women in video games.
Yeah, which they've come out and said that for a little while. I mean, that they've been, they say that like, oh, this is because we want like a diverse cast of female characters, and we want to. They'll call it like attainable beauty standards in media,
Yeah.
which just means like ugly women.
It's just male gaze. Male gaze.
Yeah, they're like, oh, attractive women in video games is misogynistic because that means we have to have standards and
Well, because the
look attractive.
people who are making the
So,
standards are ugly women and they can't stand feminine, attractive
yeah,
women. That's it.
right. Yeah, like that reminds me of last weekend when I was trading books with Irene. They were like the spicy loot cover, the spicy
Yeah.
volume 1 cover, and we're like, yeah, everybody likes attractive women, even women,
Yeah.
and you also don't have to be gay to appreciate like attractive people.
No.
But like people who are full of envy and resentment, they look at themselves and they're very. It's funny. People are always like, "Oh, you're insecure. No." Like those people are insecure if they
Yeah.
look at someone and they're like, "Oh, I have to get rid of this attractive person because it makes me feel bad because I'm unattractive." So
That's it. It's basically
that's it.
revenge. And
Yeah. So now they're
yeah.
finally getting revenge against attractive women by
Yeah, it's like everything in media now is revenge on either white men or white heterosexuals it's just all revenge from hateful, resentful people who could do something great with the positions they're in, and instead use it
yeah,
as pettiness,
they're just
which people,
taking it away.
yeah,
Well, the funny thing about this article, it's not even about men. It's this person saying it's very difficult to pitch beautiful or vain black women in games without them coming back like grocery store aunts. Which, yep, that sounds about right. I mean, yeah, look at this. What the fuck? Like, I
well,
don't
they're
even know what
ugly.
to say.
They're re-releasing Silent Hill 2,
Oh, look at this.
but guess what? They uglified the female character. The graphics look even worse than the original Xbox game. So it's again another swing and a miss.
Right.
I mean, Silent Hill 2 was a great
Look
game.
at this. Oh my
Yeah.
god. Look at that. Jesus Christ.
It's like female Urkel.
That's so racist.
Is it?
What about yeah, because he just wants to show off his black queen, and
Oh,
they're turning her into
it looks like
they give her
Urkel.
the problem glasses.
Did I
Problem.
do that?
Yeah, well, yeah, of course. You can't uglify women without making them more masculine looking. So
Yeah.
yeah, look at this attractive, like this young, attractive black girl, and they're like, oh, let's make it like a androgynous, angry black woman. Like this is the stereotype that they're like that they would
Yeah.
accuse anybody else of. They'd be like, oh yeah, it's super racist for you to
Yeah. If
just
I could
assume
draw
all
these
black women. Yeah,
draw
just for
me,
you to assume them.
draw me a black woman. I drew that. They would call me a bigot.
Yeah, they'd be like, how dare you stereotype black women by making them look angry and they have no feminine energy
Yeah.
and they're obnoxious. Like, well, what do you call this? What do you call this raised
Confrontational.
eyebrow? Yeah, oh, you're so aggressive and hostile. Like, what do you call this raised eyebrow pointing directly at me? Like, you're almost breaking your finger off to point in that gesture.
Yeah.
Like, shouldn't you be taking a selfie like a real girl? I don't. Whatever, man. It's so typical at this point. Like, I'm not this article doesn't surprise me in the least bit. Oh, here you go. Yeah, look at this. This
Yeah.
is what she looks like in real life.
I think they got DLC coming for that Alan Wake 2 turd.
Yeah, whatever.
And
Oh, look,
DLC
David
for Elden
Boyle.
Ring tomorrow, I think, drops.
Oh, looks like they're gonna finally cancel the main Amazing Spider-Man run by Zeb Wells because it's awful and no one's buying it. Probably whoever they hire,
It's
whoever they
so
hired. Oh, I did
it's
update
so
my
I
resume,
think
but
he
I
was
haven't.
supposed to go for like 75 issues or something. And
Oh yeah, I bet. But
it's so
give
bad.
oh John Romita Jr. That guy was there.
He'll do the covers.
Yeah,
That's it. I mean,
interesting. What the fuck? Yeah, whatever, man. None of this is shocking. I bet I updated my resume, but I haven't sent it in for that position yet. They probably already filled it. And
they probably have.
And whoever did this probably is like, yeah, this is totally unprofitable, and they're like, oh, all right, time to time to announce the finale of this fucking dog shit.
I wonder who
I
they're
mean,
going to get.
everyone's buying Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah,
So,
that thing is selling, and that it should be amazing because
great.
that is a flagship book.
Yeah. So yeah, that's nothing of value was lost. No really new updates except for people are finally admitting that they're doing what they've been doing on purpose the whole time and just been gaslighting you into believing that they're not, and it's really your fault. You're crazy for trusting your eyes. Um,
Yep.
and now that
1984 shit, man. Like, don't what they say. Don't
yeah,
trust your eyes. Don't trust your ears. Just listen to.
yeah, and now that you're and now that now that it's obvious and apparent and everyone calls it out, it's like, oh yeah, no, we really were doing that the whole time,
That's a good
um
thing.
but yeah, but it's only really because we're trying to do you a favor. Like if you weren't such a horrible piece of shit, you'd have wanted this to begin with.
Yeah,
Something like that, right? Am I right?
I saw an article saying, uh, okay, so yes, diversity is getting rid of white people, but that's a good thing. Literally, that
Right.
was that.
That's a good thing.
It's like that's what we've been calling you out on.
Yeah.
Get
But it's a
you,
good thing because we hate you.
yeah.
Right.
It's like
It's a good
okay,
thing because you're evil and we need to get rid of you. I mean, that's what they think. That's not what I think.
yeah. No, the
Obviously.
mask is completely off. So at
Yeah.
least again, they deny, and then justify. You know, when the facts start piling up.
Yeah. So you
It
want to
said,
turn
well,
gears
should have
and
never even gotten 20 issues in. I posted a link to a channel that reviews pretty much everything Spider-Man called a MN Stash, and he'll do reviews. That's where I get a lot of my Spider-Man news. He's reviewed probably every issue of this run. I don't think he's liked any one of them, but he likes the Ultimate Spider-Man book quite a bit. So
um yeah. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, they'll probably get someone else. It would be one thing if it was like if it was the reverse where like the Ultimate Spider-Man had someone talented and uh made a like it was successful basically, and then there was like shitty side content for these awful people that only care about their agenda, and then we wouldn't really care, because
no,
they would
no,
still
you
be
can.
selling dog shit,
Yeah,
you
if you
know.
want to make woke shit, that's fine. Don't do it
Yeah,
with an established IP that, like a Star Wars or a freaking Spider-Man or something like that. Make your own IP and,
right.
and
But
put
then
your
it,
message out. But
but then it wouldn't be popular. That's the problem. It's just like random weirdo women or whoever bitching about no female space marines. Like
right,
they just want to be a part of, the it all goes back to like they just want to be included in with the boys. Like they want to be in the
yeah,
clubhouse and it's no fucking girls allowed. And then but they don't get the like by definition if you make shit for that you like, okay, well you have to accept that it's not going to be popular because boys don't give a shit. Well, but I want to be the popular thing. Okay, but if you take this popular thing and you make it into you, people aren't going to buy it because they already weren't going to buy the shit you want to sell. So you're just going to destroy the thing that we enjoy. Then we're just going
yeah,
to move on and we're just going to create new things that we enjoy without you. We're going to put up a new sign that says no girls allowed.
yeah,
And it's just going to repeat infinitely,
yeah.
infinitely.
And
Um,
the thing of like, there are probably people buying this just in like Luke mentioned when he worked in the store. There are people who buy certain titles like Amazing Spider-Man just so they don't have a hole in their collection. They don't read it.
yeah, they don't. They just literally sit it in a just goes into a long box.
That's it.
And that's it. Mm. Yeah,
But
which is
for
kind
people
of
actually
stupid.
reading
But
his run, yeah, it's the reviews have not been good at all, and he's been on for 8 issues now. It's no.
yeah, it's pretty bad. Oh yeah, Kyle had to drop off,
Yeah.
as he is wont to do at his cutoff time. But yeah, it'll just keep happening till eventually they either go bankrupt or fire all their employees and someone else takes over that actually wants to make stuff for
Well,
the
I
real
don't think they
fans,
even care
i.e.
really.
guys, men,
You know,
boys.
if you're being carried by Disney, I don't think you give a shit. It's like you can do whatever you
Yeah,
want.
of course, for now.
Yeah, and
For now.
we'll
But eventually they're going to run out of Disney's money too, which is already happening. Like it's not like Disney stock is exploding in value.
no.
It's not exactly
No, they've lost
outperforming
a lot of
year
market
over
share.
year.
They lost a lot of
Yeah.
market share.
Yeah.
I mean, right now they kind of have a hit on their hands with Inside Out 2, which, from what I've heard, has no agenda in it. So it's like a family-friendly movie that you can actually.
Yeah, and the main character is a girl that she was already a girl, so they're not exactly offending anybody.
Yeah.
It's just like a cute family-friendly movie with. Well, I mean the main characters aren't even. It isn't even the girl. It's like Osmosis Jones. Remember that movie back in
Yeah.
the day? This
Yeah.
is just Osmosis Jones for little girls,
Yeah.
which is
And it's
fine.
done 379, 380 million so far, which is actually probably the biggest hit they've had. I don't know
That's
what they
good.
spent on it.
It's Pixar too, right?
Yeah.
Disney Pixar, yeah. Oh, I saw the new Garfield movie a
Yeah.
few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Um, I want to see what the hype was about, because people were saying like, oh, it's outperforming the Mad Max movie, but just because the budget was a lot lower because it's an
Yeah.
animated movie,
Yeah.
versus fucking Mad Max. But yeah, it almost totally lost me in the first half. Like
I heard it
I
wasn't
almost,
that great, but it's for
it's not
whatever
that
reason,
great.
it's doing well, and I think it's just because just the same reason Inside Out. I think they want a family film they can take
But
kids to
yeah,
without agenda. But
go ahead.
no, it just without agenda. I don't know if the Garfield movie had any of that.
No, it doesn't. And you know what's interesting about the Garfield movie? It's actually a father and son story. It's a story
Oh, okay.
about family and a father and son. Now, the father is basically set up to be like a deadbeat dad that comes back into the story, and he's not exactly he's more like an alley cat, or Garfield's like a pampered house cat because John found him as a little kitten or whatever. But it's you know it's it's basically the best you could possibly hope for in modern Hollywood without um it completely, like you said, without having an agenda. Like without having an agenda, it's actually kind of sad if you think about like that. Without an agenda, the best they could come up with is, yeah, here's this dad basically making up for like being a shitty father and redeeming himself to his son, and they go on an adventure together, and they kind of learn from each other. I'm starting to think like all these millennial people my age that were raised in like fatherless homes by like their single mothers. They're like some of them are reconnecting with their fathers later in life,
Probably. Yeah.
and they're learning like, oh, he wasn't a complete piece of shit, but like, how do I rationalize this in my head?
Yeah.
Because Like I haven't seen him for
Maybe
like the
my mom
last
pushed him out. You know.
right, because like I could be totally reading into this too much, but it's almost like the zeitgeist of this movie is like our culture is kind of where I'm getting at because um the villain is like a middle-aged, like haggard, resentful, bitter female cat, like a this pussy. And she has like a couple of dog goons, but basically she just like wants revenge against the father. And I was like, wait, is she the mother? But they're just not gonna say that. She's not the mother of Garfield, but she basically was fucked over, quote unquote, by the father, by Garfield's father in the past. And so
Uh,
literally she's just doing everything she possibly can to seek spite and get revenge against Garfield's father because of her grievances against, even though she was like a total piece of shit. You know what I mean? Like she was, and I'm just sitting there thinking like, so like the first half of the it was super boring. I was like, oh my god, this is so like this is kind of uninspired. I was
there
looking
were
at
like no
Paula. I'm like, can
laughs
we
or
go?
anything.
Yeah, it wasn't like super funny. It's kind of like, I mean, there isn't a whole lot of story and lore behind Garfield, anyways, as far as I'm aware. I guess I'm a normie when it comes to Garfield lore, but they kind of like they kind of do a lot of setup of Garfield, and it's it's cutesy, but I'm like, okay, there isn't really a story or like a plot happening. And then it gets into it. I'm like, okay, okay. And then yeah, by the second, like the third act of the movie, I was like, oh, this is actually pretty interesting because this again, I may be reading too much into this, but this kind of says a lot about like modern, you know, Hollywood and the zeitgeist of our culture of
Yeah.
like these writers trying to write father son relationships, and it's still pretty pathetic, but like it's serviceable, but like that's what they know.
Yeah.
Like they don't know a
It's not a
stable,
healthy relationship.
yeah,
Or
it's not exactly a healthy relationship. I mean, in the end, they do reconnect. Like there is a very touching scene where it's like, oh no, the father was really there for like every birthday of I'm telling you, William, you gotta like it really is uh like he looked like he abandoned Garfield from the perspective of Garfield growing up. And then at the end of the movie you're really like, no, he's been there the whole time.
yeah.
And it's really like he really does love him, and they become a family, and John adopts Garfield's dad because they're still cats, and the dog is good. The dog's a cool character. So I'm like, oh my god, this is like this is must be a bunch of these writers realizing that their dad wasn't a piece of shit, that it was actually like their single mother that just you know kicked them out of the house and then abused the kids for 18 years. Like,
Yeah.
anyways, so yeah, speaking of I don't remember where I was going that I had a segue, but I'm just gonna jump into it. So I have another article I want to cover that has been sitting on my list of tabs for a couple weeks. If you don't mind,
Sure.
I want to share this one. So I got this in a feed of something, Google or something. But since we like to also talk about fantasy and Wizards of the Coast, I found this article where they interviewed the creator of Magic the Gathering, Richard Garfield.
Okay.
Yes, Richard Garfield. And I won't go too deep into it, but there's a couple of points I wanted to talk about based on this article that they mentioned. So I've got this highlighted here, and like this is how people talk about Magic in its inception. So they just say, even if it's in its raw form, created passion that boiled over into hunger that could not be quenched. World around us disappeared. By the end of the weekend, the game had us in its grips. This is from Wizards co-founder Steve Connard. And this is basically what Wizards was built on, is Magic the Gathering. I mean, obviously Dungeons and Dragons, but they didn't create Dungeons and Dragons. They picked that up
Right.
um, from Gygax and his crew. But this Wizards was really like, let's create a card game with the awesome art of classic Dungeons and Dragons, but with like incredible card game mechanics. Um, and then they say I must have experienced goosebumps because I had this visceral reaction. I was hooked into these dreamlike possibilities. I felt the game was going to be huge, said Everingham. And then yeah,
There
they
was
go on to
really, I don't
say
think there was anything really like Magic before Magic hit.
no, no, there wasn't. And I mean, Magic came out. They beat. I mean, that's where Pokemon really got their idea. I mean, I guess you had Pokemon like in Japan, and then it made its way over to the West. But like Magic was out before that, and Yu-Gi-Oh, and all these other card games.
Yeah.
And it didn't have an IP to lean on like those other games did, where Pokemon was video games, the show, card games, like
Yeah.
fucking everywhere. Magic was
It was just
Magic the
merch.
Gathering. Right, it's merch, and then it developed into its own niche depending on what what sector the merch was in. But yeah, so I guarantee you, no one, and yeah, and then it went to go on and blow up at Gen Con, and then the rest is history. But I just wanted to show you that just because it's like, I guarantee you, no one at Magic, at Wizards right now who's working on Magic has the same passion and drive as the people who develop it. Like, I get goosebumps when like we're printing like when we print Mercenary Guild. I'm gonna be like, wow, this is gonna be like the first fucking time we printed Hardly Heroes. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's so fun to be in the early stages of like, wow, this is gonna be great. Like I have this feeling, oh, I know it's gonna be awesome. Like it's gonna be a good time. And that's
Well,
what they like that's how I feel when we do stuff.
because
I'm not
the creators are no longer involved, and this goes for a lot of video game companies, and obviously things like Star Wars and Marvel. Once it becomes corporatized, and the people who whatever were the caretakers of it hand it off, the people coming in really don't give a shit because they don't have skin in the game.
yeah,
They
no, and it's just a job, and they're just bullshitting people. Like,
yeah
you know, we've all been in interviews. Like, if you're getting a job, unless it's a company you start or own, especially if it's just like a big corporation, you don't really love that thing, you know?
yeah
It's not your life. It like it's a fucking job. It's a paycheck. But the problem is when you're dealing with artistic stuff, entertainment, um, these people believe these people, but yeah, they don't consider, oh yeah, this is common sense. Like, of course they're just saying that to get the job, but they don't really love it.
no
It's not like they don't have a standardized test or like a personality test where they test them on all the, you know, the books they used to read as a kid or like interview references from. They don't have that shit. They're just
no.
like, oh, okay, cool. I see you have a resume here. Sure, yeah, whatever. Okay, cool.
But
You're
they
hired.
should learn it though. I mean, I think God, they just had an episode of The Acolyte where they showed one of the characters from the Phantom Menace, one of those Jedi Council, the guy with the cone head, and they had him in the Acolyte, and supposedly the Acolyte is like 100 some odd whatever years before the Battle of Yavin. It is like, according
Yeah,
to lore, they don't live that long. So
it's
again,
it's them ripping off the old Republic, basically.
yeah. And it's
Or
them just not
yeah,
knowing the lore. It's like, we're going to put this character from the movies, so member berries. And it's like, yeah, the character wouldn't be alive at that time because the timeline doesn't jive. But that's okay. You're the experts, right? Jeez.
yeah, right. Yeah, but would you be shocked to know that if they don't care in the hiring process to hire people who are already passionate about the thing they're working on, like, would you be shocked to come to find out that these people are super fucking lazy and they don't care to do any research into the things that they're just aping from other content? Like, they don't fucking care. They're just like, oh, Conehead guy, and that's as far as the extent of their knowledge goes. They're like, oh, remember this guy from the original council?
Yeah.
We'll put his species in here, or
Yeah.
his race, or whatever you want to, yeah, whatever terminology you want to use. Yeah, that's as far as it goes. They're not like, oh shit. They're looking at a Wikipedia page, so they even know how to pronounce
Yeah.
that guy. They're not like, oh, yeah, let me do a deep dive into the lore of this guy, and his race and all the characteristics
It's
and his
funny.
their history.
They changed the Wikipedia page from that race to, I guess they can only live for like 70 years or something. Now they just erased it. So they're
Yeah, of
trying
course.
they're trying to walk around this thing and
Yeah, they're
probably
just
just
trying to rewrite history.
just make some more shit up. Who cares? And then they
Yeah, who
wonder why
cares?
watching it, crying out loud.
Right. Well, something I've noticed the older I get, like women don't care about canon. Like they don't care about history. They don't care about like necessarily the past or the future. I don't mean like the past or the future as in like 5 days ago or like what I'm gonna have for lunch tomorrow. Like they don't care about tradition and history.
Yeah.
Like men really care about that because I guess the more logical your brain is, like the more your brain is developed to think logically and seek patterns, like recognize patterns. It's just a natural flow. You're like, okay, well, I'm going to study history because history will show me a pattern of like human behavior. So,
And also, I think we respect what other people built. I don't know, and because we know how hard it is to build something, and
yeah, we
want
just
to
have done
maintain it
that.
because we build. We're the innovators for the
Yeah,
most
that's
part.
right. Yeah, we
Now, I would say
experience what that's
someone like
like.
J.K. Rowling, she probably cares a great deal of her, the thing that she built. But
Yeah,
again,
exactly, because she experienced it.
yeah,
She built her own world full of like rich lore and characters and all kinds of interesting things going on there.
but once if she ever sold out, they would they'd ruin it. You know, they,
Yeah,
the corporate whoever would buy her out would ruin it.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's just that like most women never have to experience like women don't build their own IKEA furniture. They hire men or like they want their husbands or boyfriends to do, you know what I mean? Like and men like they don't I mean I don't think you should force women to do stuff that men do. It's just, like you're not gonna force them to do it just to say, aha, now you know what it's like to be, it's like men don't want to do that to women. They don't want to force them to experience what it's like to be the average man.
Right.
It's like that woman who she was able to pass off as a man for like a significant period of time,
Yeah, I think I
and
heard
she made a documentary. Um, I think there was one who did it, and then she killed herself. She literally committed suicide. So she became the male suicide statistic because she was like, "Holy shit, this is what it's like to be an average man." It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, yeah, welcome to our fucking world. Like, so
It ain't
it's just
easy.
one of those. Yeah, it's just one of those things. Like you know, it is what it is. There's no really fixing it, but it just makes me think like, yeah, women just don't give a shit at all. So why would they give a shit about canon when they're making
No,
a
of
Star
course
Wars
not.
show?
Of course
You
not.
know, so I don't know. It's like George Lucas shouldn't have sold it and let them put Kathleen Kennedy in charge. Like I don't know what else to say. Like shame on you, George. Shame on
Ultimately,
you for doing this. Huh?
ultimately, it's on him.
Yeah,
You know.
exactly. It was his responsibility. It was his legacy. Like I mean, unless your long-term strategy is he knew Kathleen Kennedy would fuck it all up because all she ever was good at is getting his coffee for him and Spielberg. She couldn't. She could barely do that without keeping her mouth shut. Like I heard interviews where they'd be in a room like brainstorming, and she would just come up with like the most retarded ideas. Uh,
Yeah.
and they'd shoot her down and laugh at her and be like, "No, no, we're not doing that. Just no." you know, and
Yeah, but
yeah,
thanks for the coffee. That's
yeah,
probably why she
exactly.
resents something because this is all revenge. I mean, I
Yeah,
think pro,
exactly.
they just put pronouns in the
Yeah,
last
this is her
episode.
feminist revenge against her male bosses. But my point is, like, unless this is some like long term strategy, because he knew Kathleen Kennedy was going to fuck it all up, and he's like, I'm going to sell it to Disney for $4 billion, and then they're going to come crawling to me to fix it after she fucks it all up. And burns my legacy to the ground, and then I'll buy it back from them for like pennies on the dollar, and everyone will love me again after the prequels, like, which I highly doubt because
Well,
he's in like
he's
his
80 years.
70s.
He's 80.
He's 80.
He's
Yeah,
80.
he's 80. So I highly doubt that's his master plan. Like, he just fucked up. He's just a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
That's what you
Yeah.
get for
There's no
believing.
4D chess
Yeah,
going.
there's no 4D chess. He's just a fucking idiot. So the other thing, oops, I never added this to the stage. I'm sorry. Damn, I fucked up. Anyways, I read the quotes out, so you heard me, right?
Yeah.
So the other thing that's interesting about this article is that they asked Garfield about like his game design and philosophy, and like he's designing other games, I guess, but stuff that's more interesting to him. Um, Garfield is kind of a boomer. Like, he comes from I guess closer to your generation, like kind of the hippie era in like the 70s, and
Okay.
like second wave feminism and stuff. And
Yeah.
so he's actually kind of a liberal guy. So there's this really weird thing that happens with like these like tech, like these like liberal guys that are like super nerdy, like they're, because he's basically an engineer. I would consider him like an engineer for card games. Like these guys in Silicon Valley, like they're like pretty far left, or they're like, they end up being like giant male feminists simping for women
Yeah.
because they were like a nerd in high school. So they have this like weird thing where they have these ideas where they can like fix and mold humanity, like humans are like literal computers. And so they have this like fundamentally completely flawed understanding of human nature, but they're really fucking smart. So, so it's like this weird juxtaposition with like a very high IQ guy that's like probably almost autistic in intelligence, but they don't understand basic human nature. So they believe in this stupid like liberal commie shit and a lot of the same egalitarian bullshit about men and women, and so it completely clouds their idea of like how the world works. So they're like, oh, I'm gonna apply my autism to humans, and I'm
Mhm.
gonna academically engineer people to just do this way or act this way, or we just have to solve human nature. Like,
Yeah. Which
it's
you can't
yeah,
people.
yeah. So I'm like, so are you fucking retarded? Like, are you really smart? Are you fucking retarded? Because if you like, you cannot do that. Like, I don't know what this. I mean, I don't know if you've seen that before, but I've seen that in like some of these really high IQ kind of like Bill Gates. Everyone hates Bill Gates now because
Yeah.
he's like this weird guy who flies to Epstein's island, and he's like hangs
Yeah.
out with all these Democrats, and like he's this powerful guy trying to do a lot of these weird human experiments and stuff like that. And but people fucking loved him when he built Microsoft, you know. Like, I'm looking on this stream at a PC right now. Like, I
Yeah.
run Windows. I don't
Yeah.
use Apple products for the most part, almost at all. Like, I
If I
use
don't
Windows
have to.
shit.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Unless you're forcing me. But like people don't really like him. There's a lot of conspiracies around him now. Um, and he doesn't help that image.
No.
Like, he's kind of a weirdo, and he has some really fucking weird ideas. And it's like, so, but
I've heard
he's a
a lot of,
genius.
yeah.
Yeah, but
Is he a genius? I mean, he kind of ripped off Apple for his operating system. I don't know. I really don't know what level of, like I would consider someone like Steve Wozniak a genius, because he actually built a computer and all that stuff. But I mean, I don't know how much Bill Gates actually innovated as opposed to steal or borrow rather, or allegedly steal.
yeah, um, but he's still a he's still a software engineer, right?
Yeah, that's true.
He still was able to run the company, and I mean, people say things similar to that about Elon Musk, but I don't think anyone would argue that Elon Musk isn't um pretty smart guy.
Yeah,
Like Elon Musk he's still an engineer. Like even if he got fired from PayPal and then bought Tesla out from under the original creators, it's like the guy is still like wildly successful. But
yeah,
Elon Musk, you could say the similar things about like now Elon Musk is starting to turn. You know, he bought Twitter because he's like, oh yeah, I actually don't want this authoritarian, like he calls it the mind virus. You know, like I
yeah,
don't, I see what's happening. Like or like, oh, we need the free speech platform. You know, all this stuff. But with Tesla, he's perfectly happy to sell uh, overpriced electrical cars to like rich liberals
yeah.
that just want to feel good and virtue signal, even though the
Virtue
batteries are
signal.
way worse for the environment.
Yep.
Like, how the fuck are you going to dispose of all these lithium batteries
Or just
and solar
mining,
panels?
and still charging the car puts a strain on the grid, which uses
Yeah, which is using coal or fossil
coal.
fuels to
Yeah,
power the grid. Yeah, so it's like you haven't really solved the problem, but obviously made a lot of money. So he still has he's the kind of person who still has those kind of tendencies where it's like he just kind of went the other way from Bill Gates, where he's like, no, I still like my freedom. like I'm not, you know, I guess he's not like those people exactly, or for whatever reason, he's like, no, fuck you. I'm not just gonna do what you tell me. I'm
yeah,
not gonna let you control my life. Like I'm not gonna become one of you, like those like Zuckerberg and Bill Gates. But yeah, so I don't know what it is. Like these guys have a tendency to be pretty high IQ, pretty smart technically, like well-educated guys, successful, but then they still just
but then
believe some really weird shit.
they lack common. A lot of them do. I hate to say this. Some of them they lack common sense. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah, and I guess part of having whatever you want to call right-wing values or just valuing stability and freedom and traditionally like masculine things requires you to be less of a fucking nerd. like you have to do masculine things. You have to have the wisdom and experience to value those things. It's not just about having money and power.
Yeah,
Because look at what everyone says about George Soros. Like that guy has an immense amount of money and power, and he uses it to accomplish very left wing liberal goals.
yeah.
So
Well, like
I don't
speaking of Wizards of the Coast, if I just so I guess latest D&D edition changes long-standing Native American influenced name of barbarian subclass. So it used to be Path of the Totem Warrior, and it's going to be renamed to Path of the Wild Heart. D&D, folks.
know.
So if you want to
yeah.
be a barbarian Path of the Totem Warrior, you can't unless you, I guess, have an older edition. But so I think you have a subscription to that D&D D&D
Yeah.
net. Ever?
So on D&D Beyond, they just archive, and then you can have a legacy version, which is nice.
Oh,
So like
okay.
what they'll so if they do anything that's a reprint or an errata or like an update in a source book, they're pretty good about like, oh, this is the legacy tiefling, like this is the legacy barbarian. So then you could just be like, okay, well, I'm just going to use that,
Yeah.
which is
But
nice because
but
yeah,
but really, did somebody really complain about that? Like,
yeah, probably
holy night!
people are fucking crazy.
I would have never even thought of that. You
Yeah,
know?
I who knows? Like, I mean, there's no end to the amount of crazy these people can concoct in their brain. Like, I mean, yeah, I don't know what to say about it. It's my my eyes just glaze over now. I'm just like, it's very predictable.
Yeah,
Like,
I'll link.
what are they changing? Where are they changing it? It's like, yeah, it's not. That's what happens if you. I mean, that's what happens when you listen to these company. Sorry, you don't listen to company. You listen to these like fucking weirdos who don't pay, who are like complete opposite of your actual customer base. Polar
Yeah,
like 180 degrees separated from your, and you have a bunch of pussies running the company that just bend the knee to these people.
yeah, and the Echo
So
Base Network had a guy on who worked at Lucasfilm for a long time. I think he even worked up to the Acolyte. He says it's going to get worse. So it's
I'm sure it is. Yeah.
and but he said that because he worked there in the George Lucas days, and once they sold it, there was like a 90% turnover. So they
Yeah.
literally
Absolutely.
cleaned house and brought in SJWs. And
Yeah. Well, and everyone leaves. So like,
mhm.
I mean, you can apply this to. This is like a standard you can apply to any organization or I mean, you can see this in like the military and government and company at the company organizational level. A lot happens in a lot of game development companies. That's why everyone's shocked when a sequel comes out and the game company was extorted by like Sweet Baby Inc. or somebody, and then everyone's like, "Oh my god, why is the sequel so much worse?" People aren't going to stand up or do anything. They're not going to take serious action to stop it from happening. They're just going to go, "Okay, well, I quit. Like, this doesn't align with my values. I'm leaving," and they
Yeah.
all jump ship. Like imagine the people who work for a game company literally going to war. Like literally. I don't mean figuratively going to war. Like I don't mean
Yeah, and this
metaphorically.
also happens with like a merge. You get a
Yeah,
merge and the people from the old company are pretty much weeded out. And
yeah. And then they lose. And a big thing in these companies is the tribal knowledge, the experience and wisdom that people have. It's not in a bunch of it's not in a bunch of manuals. No one gives a shit. It's boring. They don't have like standard operating procedure documentation. I had to do this in a company I worked for. Like I had to try to interview the people who worked there before they quit or got fired because like they knew what the hell was going on. And when I was hired, all the new people came into the company. Like, oh yeah, okay, great. You know, let's what's the word I'm looking for? I was gonna say let's do something with these people, but they're busybodies, so they're just like, let me justify my salary by fucking with these people, who've been working here for like 20, 30 years. Like I have to change something, I have to make my mark,
yeah,
you know. Just goes back to their ego.
yeah, and you want
So
something to put on your resume to say I did this, and
yeah, even though what you did is probably completely
yeah,
fuck up what makes that company great to begin
yeah,
with.
exactly.
So yeah, it's interesting. Um, yeah, so the Acolyte's dog shit. I mean, I haven't even watched it. I just assume it's
No,
complete, and I'm
people
not.
aren't even pirating it.
Yeah, I'm not even going. I'm not even gonna watch these fucking YouTube reviewers review it. I don't give a shit. Like I'm tired of them. I'm tired of hearing about it and seeing it, I'm done. Like I've
Yeah,
been done. And it's the funny thing is it. I mean, if you have two brain cells to rub together, like I was telling you, hey, I enjoyed the Fallout show.
right.
I liked this show, and it
Hmm.
had its flaws, but I liked it. Like I can tell at this point if a show is going to be dog shit or if it's going to be tolerable, but they're going to have some like gay Hollywood influence, in the writers' room. I could pretty much tell from a handful of trailers or interviews or just hearsay. I
Yeah,
pretty much know whether I'm gonna either completely mentally block it out of my mind or not. And like the Acolyte was one of those. I was like, I'm not. I'm missing completely nothing important about this show.
yeah, and
Like,
you can even like check the IMDb page and just look at the writers and look at what they've worked on, and if
yeah,
it's it's like you get these people who haven't worked on like Rings of Power. These guys had no experience, and you give them Lord of the Rings. Okay,
right. Well, the only experience they had was political connections through J.J. Abrams' production company, right? Bad
like
Robot.
Bad Robot. Yeah.
Yeah, or acolytes of Bad Robot. Yeah, you could also look at something based on these vulture culture YouTubers, because if they're gonna pile onto something and make 50 videos about it, it's probably gonna be awful. Like
Yeah.
they're not gonna make 50 videos about something that's enjoyable.
No, they might. If you're lucky if they make one, and
Yeah,
then but yeah,
yeah,
you're.
exactly. You're lucky if they make one.
They even compared because they Disney's on the attack, and so is Forbes, and all these outlets are saying, "Oh, you hate women" and stuff like that. And somebody brought up the because I guess the audience score for Rotten Tomatoes is at like 14% for the Acolyte. It's that bad, and so they're trying to run damage control. And people are saying, well, if you look at the audience score for Fallout, it's very good. That
Mhm.
starred a woman. So what is, again, your all your bullshit just doesn't make sense because there's probably a lot of crossover between Star Wars fan and Fallout fans.
Yeah, imagine so. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Well, yeah, that's the thing, and the people who um they work on I mean the people just making decisions. Again, they're not the creators. They're not passionate about this stuff. They're just complete disconnected uh random executives and producers. So yeah, they're functionally stupid. Like they don't have any connection to the IP. They don't have any connection to the fans. Like they have no pulse. They have no read on why something's good. They're just like, I don't know. We have a female main character. That's what you know, all our DEI consultants and marketing or like screenings tell us. That's what everyone's telling me. But number go down. I don't understand. Why is it number going up? Like we did it there. Why isn't it working here?
Well, the thing is that they can do it.
So
Like, obviously, they have Inside Out, which is doing very well. And we just saw another franchise film that's actually doing pretty well, and that's Bad Boys. Um, I'm not a big Bad Boys fan, but if you're a Bad Boys fan, this new movie is true to the lore, true to the characters. They didn't change.
nice.
They didn't
Is
make them
it
gay.
is it Michael Bay?
I'm not sure, but people said it definitely has that feel.
That's
Um,
good.
yeah, it's got action. It's got the jokes and all that stuff. It doesn't reinvent the wheel. It's a Bad Boys
Sure.
movie if you like that. So that's a franchise. They didn't not ruined yet. You know,
Good.
So they
Yeah,
can
I
do
mean,
it, and they do know what people want because these movies do well. Garfield did well. This Inside Out did well.
and it's
This
probably a lower budget.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they know what we want. They just refuse to give it to us, and they have a properly like Star Wars, and they're gonna insert their shit in it. And
Yeah, because it's popular. Bad Boys wasn't. ever really popular franchise.
Yeah,
I don't
against
think
certain,
any people were.
no, but it's one of those things that they have, because it costs a lot of money to maintain such a big IP as well. Like
Yeah,
there's, and they're just not meeting that responsibility of owning something as big as Star Wars or Marvel Comics, and
yeah, those are just like cultural touchstones, and they're like made, and I mean they had a very wide appeal, you know, but yeah, so they have to control those. That's why I'm saying it's the opposite. Like we get scraps, we get Bad Boys like number 6 or whatever.
yeah,
Also, I'm not really a big fan of Will Smith anymore.
no,
Um,
no, I'm not. I haven't
so
seen it, but I've just heard good things about it. Again, if you're a fan of that franchise, uh, they haven't screwed that one up yet.
I don't know if I could separate Will Smith from whatever character he's trying to portray on screen. You
Yeah,
know, like the Bachelor that his character was, like the cool guy. The
yeah,
cop.
yeah.
Um, yeah. I can't say I was ever really a big fan. I guess like I watched probably the first couple, but yeah. So I guess if you're a fan of that series, you can go see that. And
I like the first one. I didn't like the second one, and that's when I kind of noped out. So
yeah, I mean it's like it's a cop movie. I don't know. I was gonna say it's like Mission Impossible, but it's not like Mission Impossible.
but
But
I think people want a buddy cop film. I mean, we that used to be a big thing in the '80s and '90s, and now it's like
it's true.
it's
Yeah,
days gone by, and you know,
yeah. They're just trying to make um high budget movies, and they have to try to sell to everybody, but they don't know how to do that. So they're losing money. Crazy bloated budgets because all the people working on them want to get overpaid and don't know how to manage stuff. And yeah, it's kind of fucked from like the top down. So, but I again like so they're focused on those and the people who you know they care about the thing they're working on. So that it ends up being like these big movies are completely awful, and then we get like the little Bad Boys movies, and then in between, if something blows up, they're like, "Oh my god, how did that happen?"
yeah,
We better
yeah. So
ruin that. We better
yeah,
ruin
I
the
mean,
sequel for that one.
a broken
It's on their
clock is
radar.
right twice a day. So
Right,
uh,
exactly. But then it's on their radar. Like I
you have like
assume Fallout. I assume the Fallout up is like season 2 is gonna be totally fucked.
yeah, it's like
So
same thing with probably X-Men '97. It's like wow,
probably, yeah.
people like this. We gotta insert the message. We gotta
We
pander
can't.
harder.
Yeah, we can't have that. We can't.
Yeah,
Or I guess really it's like a the egg thing. I don't think it's like they intentionally do it. I think they just see that these people are enjoying it, and so because they're mosquitoes, they're leeches, they're vampires, they're like a cancer. They have to spread to a healthy host, and then they destroy it. Because of their values, and then they're like, oh shit, this is fucked, and they move on to the next healthy host. So it's more like a virus than a virus isn't really trying to kill you. It
yeah.
doesn't know like,
Just
oh,
trying
I'm
to
going to
survive.
kill the it's just trying to survive, but it's a parasite. So all right, I just want to say this one more thing about this article and then I'm done. So this is the part I found that was alluding to what I was saying earlier. So um so I guess Garfield is spending so much of his time now instead of creating the great next fantasy game that excites people and has awesome mechanics and evolved into a new game and all this sweet art and fucking badass metal goblins and fucking zombies and vampires and oh my god, it's so competitive, it's so addicting gameplay. um he he would rather spend his time on a new game design he's excited about. It's a board game he began working on after reading Radical Markets, a 2018 book written by an economist from Microsoft and a lawyer from the University of Chicago, fucking Chicago School of Economics, who were interested in solving economic inequality. Wow. Does that
Wow,
excite you? Does that
that's
excite
what
you, William?
that's what all the kids want. That's what
Oh,
all the
their
kids,
solution? Their
and
solution? Create an economy where everything is always for sale and tax people based on asking price to keep them honest. It was exactly the kind of idea Garfield likes to interrogate with games. So he designed the founders of Ravik, a board game about a planet where people are forced to constantly sell their assets. I mean,
hey, all right. And so you're basically having a garage sale board, right?
you do they realize how fucking stupid they are? Like that's why I was saying that earlier. Like I mean, congratulations! You instead of monopoly, you created communism. The board game. I don't
Yeah.
like holy fucking shit. Like, could you imagine? Like, imagine like a living in this planet. You understand like the horrible authoritarian dictatorship you would have to live under if you were forced to constantly sell their assets. It's like, how could you be such a good game developer, but you don't know basic fucking economics?
It's reverse monopoly.
Yeah, exactly.
It's bizarro world monopoly.
It's government monopoly.
Yep.
that's what that's what it is. I just don't understand like how like set the game aside, right? Because theoretically you could have a game like that and like sure it's mechanics, but like you and I both know no one's gonna play this because it's super gay and boring.
Yeah.
Like so it doesn't but like why are you like they wouldn't come up with this unless he really thought like like he read a fucking book.
He wants to push an agenda. Like he was,
I yeah, I guess that's why he's never gonna release it. I just like but they believe this though, right? I mean, am I wrong? I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
he wants to
I
make a game based on this book, which is an economist.
I would think he's passionate about it, and he's going to try to come up with some things that work. And you know what? The fans of his may buy it and play it, just because of his name, uh, in their history. I, I won't. I won't touch this with a 10-foot pole, but
Yeah, it's fucking retarded. I mean,
the whole board game industry has become so woke. I know like John Delarose used to be a part of it and was he's been kicked out and all kinds of things. It seems like uh board gamer, that community is so radicalized, just like tabletop. Like
yeah,
there's oh there's
it's everywhere.
yeah. And
You
so
almost you can't really escape. I mean,
they're
can
ultra
but you can't.
radical though. They're ultra radical, and so this actually doesn't surprise me if he's making a board game. I don't even think you can make a board game that isn't something like this nowadays and be accepted by that community.
Yeah, I guess, but it's his choice. Like he could have anyone helping him develop the game. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's not like if you I before I hit it, you could see the screenshots of the pictures, and yeah, it looks like they're trying to recreate Monopoly, but reverse Uno Monopoly. I mean, is it even worth going into the meta concept of you're you're creating a board game to solve economic inequality, which is unsolvable.
yeah,
Like you're trying to create a board game where, in theory, you're solving the economy with this board game, which is everyone is forced to constantly sell their like. and you're taxing people.
You'll own nothing and be happy.
Yeah, if you're forced to sell your assets, you fucking retard. Like, why would anyone give a shit? Like, they have no authority. Like, these people are functionally retarded. Like, I just don't understand how
Yeah.
you could be simultaneously one of the best ever card game developers in the world in history, and also one of the dumbest fucking retards in the history.
Yeah.
It's just that polarization of these people, these guys.
Well,
It
again,
baffles me.
he's been radicalized, and
I
maybe
mean,
that book was part of it. And so
I
now,
guess.
yeah,
So now he's just going to fail the rest of his life
yeah,
because
pretty much.
he'll be too dumb to comprehend
Listen,
anything in
yeah, listen to
reality.
criticism or listen to anybody who might pull him aside and
Oh
say,
my god.
why don't you, you know, go a different way? And then
How about
you're just
not?
gonna, yeah,
How about no? How about you don't do that? It's just yeah, and probably everyone around him is just like, oh cool, I get to work with Garfield, with Richard Garfield. I'm getting paid a lot of money. That's probably all it is.
yeah, and they're
It's
not
like
going to
whatever.
criticize any of his ideas. So
Like how the fuck are you an economist from Microsoft and you don't under? I guess if you're Keynesian from the Chicago school, which is just like which is just
yeah,
soft communism,
which is
fucking retarded.
contrary to like Thomas
Sowell,
Sowell.
yeah, Thomas Sowell. Yeah,
Or,
Thomas Sowell, Milton Friedman. These guys are, um, like those are guys I actually consider to be intelligent
yeah,
because those guys, um, they come up with concepts that are applicable in the real world. You know what I mean? Like you can prove them
yeah.
and they
It's not theory.
exist.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not theory.
it's not academic bullshit theory where all you have to do is think about it logically for 5 seconds to be like, okay, cool. So you're gonna tax people on whatever the market value is that they sell it at. So you're coming up with like, so your best idea is uh literally force everyone, which like, oh I don't know what's the reaction to that. Maybe people won't give a shit about assets if they're constantly randomly forced to sell them. Okay, well, assume they do, which they won't. Assume they even keep assets. Okay, so you're taxing them. You're combining a wealth tax and a sales tax. So I'm paying a tax when I sell it and possibly buy it,
Yeah,
but then I'm paying a tax of the value. So a bunch of the money that I've gained in holding this asset, now when I'm selling it, I have to pay a higher tax. So you're punishing me for holding this asset. So now you're punishing my future gains. Like by taxing me like progressively based on the value and not even a sales tax, like a flat sales tax. Like that's fucking horrible. And you
yeah.
think that that's going to create a market of speculators and financiers? Uh,
No,
no, that's not like no, that's not going to happen. It's going to be the fucking government is going to buy up all the assets because they're the ones who control who. I mean, they're the ones who are creating the taxes and forcing everyone to sell their assets. So they're going to collude or they're going to create some sort of fascist dictatorship and collude with a handful of like duopolies, almost like you see now. And they're going to be like, okay, great. So we're going to force everyone to sell. So now you know when to buy. Ready? Okay, go do that. And then you're going to give us a bunch of kickbacks.
yeah,
Like that. But I don't like, am I crazy? Like all I did was think about that for 10 seconds and the consequences. But that's assuming you understand a little bit of human nature and you know that like people are going to react. They're not just going to sit there and take it in the ass. Like they're going to have some kind of, I don't know, like equal opposite reaction
yeah.
to what
There's
you're
got to
doing.
be. There's got to be. Yeah,
Like they're not
I
just
think
gonna.
people are starting to wake up now, but again, what
Holy shit!
what really can you do? When I mean, look at the success they had with the whole COVID or coof or whatever we got to call it on YouTube. Crap. I
Yeah,
know all the people who had to get jabbed, all the people wearing masks. Um, there are people I will never talk to again because they were so rude. In there's shops I won't
yeah,
go into, including my local comic shop, which were masked Nazis as far as I'm concerned, and that's it. I'm not. That's
there you
probably why
go.
I'm not buying new comics, is because I don't. I don't. I used to support them by buying back issues, so they had a
Mm.
great supply. I'm not so. I haven't supported them since what 4 years now. I
Yeah,
haven't.
4 years at this point.
Yeah.
Maybe a
So
little longer for you. Yeah.
the hell with them. And I used to go in there every week. Not Wednesday for the most part because I had to work, but I'd go there on Saturday and see what I could get. You know.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing you're gonna get, which is another part of that article, which is like the COVID stuff, is yeah, you will get a cat and mouse game. I mean, that's how the government works. The cat and mouse game is the government forcing people to do shit and people speculating and trying to plan and react based on and adapt. Like literally like, oh hey, in a week you're gonna have to sell everything. And then people going, okay, well, I'm just gonna find a loophole so that I don't have to sell it. Like I'm gonna sell it to my immediate family member. So now my family still retains this asset. Like
Yeah.
that's a cat and mouse game, just like you're saying with COVID. So the government comes in and they're like, "Oh, here's a bunch of arbitrary bullshit, martial law, essential shit that we imposed on like the population." And so all you did was see people adapting to where they were like, "Okay, well, I want to be on the essential list of people that can be open. Okay, sure, you can be on the list. All right, sweet. Well, why isn't he on the list and I'm not? Because blah blah blah. Okay, well, I'm that thing now. I identify as this type of business, so now I'm on the essential list. Like that's all it ever is. It's a
Yeah.
cat and mouse game of like you fucking people over as the government to flex your power, and then people just like clever people being like, okay, well, I'm going to do this to get around your bullshit. That's all you're doing. Like, if you knew that, wouldn't you just work to motivate people like with incentives to get the behavior you want in the first place?
Yeah. Some positive reinforcement.
Yeah, like that goes a long way.
Yeah.
Like look at all the simps on OnlyFans. like,
Ah,
like positive reinforcement and validation is like 75% of the population. It's like so I don't know, crazy people. So, but I've been wanting to look at that article for a while because I've noticed that that's a kind of thing with certain guys. Like you have these really high IQ guys, but goddamn, when it comes to certain things, or like the older they get, their brain just
more
melts.
the more indoctrinated. That really what
Yeah,
it is, radicalized, indoctrinated. You figure they would have grown out of being able to be manipulated like that, but it's not an age thing. So
yeah,
uh,
you're right. Or they got captured ideologically because of you know
yeah,
geographically where they live or whatever.
because he can do what he wants. There's a lot of people out there doing a lot of stupid shit because that's their job, and they can't criticize. They got to put their head
Right,
down
they'll
and
get fired.
yeah. But this guy's not in that position.
Right, yeah, he easily has fuck you money. Like there's no way he doesn't have fuck you money and he can do whatever he wants. But that's the point. Like, but he's choosing to design some boring, retarded uh, government monopoly.
Anti monopoly or
Yeah, anti-monopoly, government monopoly, whatever you want to call it. Communism, the fucking game. Like,
might as well. Might
I
as well call it.
mean, might as well. Yeah, just come out with it. Just like it'd be
Globalism, the game.
yeah. Just stop beating around the bush. Like that's
Yeah.
the annoying thing. Just be honest. Don't gaslight people. Just tell them, look, This is the gayest game you'll ever play. Hey, this is the gayest Star Wars, right? Yeah, this is the gayest Star Wars. Okay, thanks. That's all I need to know.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, I'm good. I'm out. See ya. Have fun. Like, you that's you guys can have it.
But
But
see,
I'm not participating.
the board game market is just as toxic as the tabletop has become. Now, I don't know how successful board games are. I haven't played a board game in decades, to be honest.
I mean, it's a big industry, but uh I think a lot of, well, it's like everything. Like, you'll have Kickstarters where someone will create a board game and they raise like $1.3 million to fund their board game because it looks interesting. It looks like it has good fun mechanics, or it's like based off of an IP. And it has decent mechanics. Um, but you see that in like comic books and independent films. I mean, there's a huge incentive now because all of the big companies that have these IPs, they make dog shit. Like D&D is destroying their IP. You know,
Yeah.
a little every day. Like, um, the guy who designed Magic. I mean, he doesn't even have a hand, I'm assuming, in Magic anymore. But Wizards of the Coast is slowly just trying to destroy Magic: The Gathering. Those are probably
They
two of the
pretty much
biggest.
have. I think they pretty much have.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying really hard, despite them fucking up and, like, coming out with some good stuff every now and again, here and there, like shutting down Baldur's Gate. They're trying really hard. So it's like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of another big I mean, Hasbro in general isn't doing great. It's Wizards that's making that money based on
Yeah.
that
It has,
financial report, the
yeah.
article we looked at a few weeks ago. So, like, they can't be selling games really well. I mean, all the biggest games I've seen, like, Cards Against Humanity was one that came out, I guess, back when I was in like
I heard,
college.
I heard about that.
Yeah, those kind of, I would consider that basically a board game, like party games. Not necessarily like Risk. You have like your very complicated nerdy board games, and you have like your party games. You just invite some friends over, you have some beers, or you
Yeah.
taking shots while you're playing cards or whatever. Yeah, those are small independent studios, the ones that do really well. There's like a couple people designing a game, and then if they get bought out or corporatized, yeah, they get pretty woke and shitty. But for the most part, it's everyone's like video games right now. The biggest best-selling games that people are passionate about are like mid-level indie games,
Yeah.
like Helldivers 2,
Helldivers 2,
um,
Stellar Blade doing
Stellar
really.
Blade, that new Chinese developer that's coming out with Journey to the West.
Yeah.
Did you hear about that game? That people are getting
Yeah.
pretty excited about that. I'm personally getting really excited about Path of Path of Exile 2.
Oh,
It,
okay. Yeah.
it's
And they
it's
also
looking
announced
like,
a new Dragon Age game, which nobody's excited about.
yeah, and then there's that,
Yeah. That's
and then
true.
there's that game.
Yeah. So that's like the other side of that coin where nobody wants that.
So yeah, so these independent, these smaller studios where they have direct control over their IP, and they have a higher level of responsibility too. Like you said, it's not like they can just fuck up and still make some money. That's a part of it. Like, a lot of these companies just
Oh,
have it
yeah.
too good.
Yeah. Because they're supported by other things. But, like
Yeah.
if you're Sony, you can fuck up. Or even, well, Microsoft actually have been downsizing. I think they closed 4 studios and laid off a bunch from Bethesda, which really isn't that big a
Yep.
studio to begin with.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's right.
good luck with that.
Yeah. Because I mean, you did it to yourself. Like,
Yeah,
Dragon Age is EA.
yeah, which it's BioWare, which is owned by EA, I think.
Yeah. So yeah, good luck.
And that's
I
going to
mean,
probably the comments aren't good,
maybe
and the
we should
trade.
start a consulting company. It's like the anti Sweet Baby Inc. Like the opposite to them. Like,
Well,
hey, do you want to be?
they have that Steam page. Have you heard about that?
Oh, the one that just tracks all the games that they're
Yeah,
consulting
tracks.
on.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
at
but
400,000 users right now.
yeah, but I don't mean like a consumer report agency. Like that is basically like I mean like literally like Sweet Baby Inc. would be like, hey, do you want to actually make a successful game that's profitable, and you don't have to get extorted by these DEI scammers, like
Well, I don't think we
fucking
could. I think they know what we want. There's something I don't know who's holding the gun, but somebody has a gun to their head making it. I don't know.
it's the government, man.
I don't know. It could be.
I mean, who funds all the ESG companies?
Yeah, BlackRock,
BlackRock, and yeah, they're the
Vanguard.
majority. Yeah, Vanguard, but who supports them? Like they get
401k,
bailed out
401k.
401ks, which is basically taxpayers, like the average person that has a 401k. And who created 401ks? The government.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe not directly, but it's a government related retirement fund. Like
yeah,
it's a government, did I say regulated? Yeah, regulated. So it's a huge push because I think that's who's pushing all this stuff.
yeah.
I mean, it's really like the mafia, and these companies and these people are run by pussies. Like they're not
Yeah,
going to
I mean,
do anything. Though.
you're usually at the beck and call of someone. I would rather be at the beck and call of fans than a company
Yeah.
that's trying to re-engineer society. But
Look what
that's just me.
look what Dana White is doing with the UFC.
Yeah,
People fucking love and respect him, and he knows he's literally. I don't know if you saw the roast of Tom Brady, but he stood up and he just gave everyone around him the giant middle finger. He
yeah,
was
I
like,
saw
"Fuck." He was like, "Fuck you, liberal." Like we're here in LA, so I'm just here to tell you all, "Fuck you, go fuck yourself." And yeah, it was pretty great.
Yeah, because his fan base aren't beta males, and you know what I mean. That was never the UFC fan base, so he's not really losing anything there, and he's
Yeah,
gaining
but
much
like
more credit.
but like Marvel Comics, they're losing all their male subscribers. I mean, I wouldn't say, yeah, like your average comic book reader is probably kind of. I wouldn't say he's like an alpha Chad, but
No,
like they're still alienating their fan bases because
yeah,
they're run by a bunch of pussy. Like Dana White is not a pussy.
no.
He's standing up to these people and saying, "Go fuck
But
yourself."
Tom Brevoort is so.
Right. So there you go. Like, I would say their companies are run by like more beta males than the consumer base. I mean, like we're just voting with our wallets. You know what I mean? We're like, yeah, fuck you. I'm just not going to pay for it. I'm not going to. You're not entitled to my money.
No,
Like I don't have to give you my money.
but they're still
But
being funded, and they're also not. There's really no sign of course correction. These
right.
people can't admit that they're wrong. They can't admit that what they're doing isn't working. So full steam ahead, driving off a cliff.
Yeah, because
You're all,
they're yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, I'll go right off the cliff because yeah, it's at the end of the day they're not. I mean, they're not really responsible for it. Like, let's be honest. And they're
they'll go on to the next job and probably fuck that up. And
well, I mean, people at the high level, like I always say, like it's not like the CEO. It's not like they have to pay back all the money they lost and the shareholders they fucked over if they make really retarded decisions for the company, or they let people make really retarded decisions for them, and then they just go along with it. Like Bob Iger, like he's probably objectively the worst CEO Disney has ever had,
Yeah.
ever. And that guy's getting like $27 million a year in bonuses, or in like CEO payments, stock
Yeah.
option, whatever you want to call it. Like all of the money that he's making uh from running that company, it's really no different than like Nancy Pelosi or like Mitch McConnell, like insider trading, getting legal bribes, profiting off of being in their tenure in the government. Like they're just political figures. They're the political class.
Yeah.
Like that's why they keep doubling down. If tomorrow it was like there was some law or something where Bob Iger had to pay all the money back, you would immediately see completely different behavior in him,
Yeah,
or he would
and the
just
thing,
quit.
well, they do have a fiduciary responsibility to the shareholders and the 401k. I mean, that's the real crime here, and crimes are being committed, or even by
Right, but they're
BlackRock.
not
It's
going to get
supposed to
prosecuted.
exactly nothing's going to happen to them.
Yeah, because
So I'm
it's
glad I'm not an investor, but
yeah. Oh yeah, like I had to divest a bunch of money from 401k because it's just like, why am I waste throwing money at that shit? I think what little I have in it, I'm just gonna roll over into like there's 401ks you can do that are precious metals, and I think you can get the physical metals from them,
oh
and just do that, or just try to buy another property or something, because you don't get penalized if you use your 401k for like a down payment on a mortgage or something. Just something that isn't going to get
yeah,
fucked because
yeah, with the paying the
stupid
penalty.
BlackRock and Vanguard. Yeah, or best case scenario is I just don't even if I see Vanguard, I don't even look at it. I'm just like, fuck you. Like I'm not putting my money in this.
Nope.
Because in most companies, even if you have a 401k, like most people are lazy and maybe uneducated. They're just like, well, I don't care. It's basically like a savings account from them. They're like, just deduct it from my paycheck. I don't
Right.
care.
And
I'm
they
not.
don't care how it's invested. They choose like either a high risk, a medium risk, or a low risk. And
Well,
then
they
it's
don't even do that. They don't even look at that. They just are put in like a target fund based on retirement date, and like by default. And if you don't change it, yeah, they're not even looking at like the mix, like the asset mix and the risk mix of the fund that they're in. They're not even looking at the like high, medium,
yeah.
low risk fund. They're just like yeah, because you can do that where you'll pick like a low risk, and then you pick like a low risk portfolio, and it will build a fund or pick multiple funds for you or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, if you're with like principal is one of the big ones. Um, anyways, yeah, it's people don't even pay attention to that, so they're just like, yeah, whatever. But then they don't know that it's like their money going to fund all these. It's so stupid. It's pretty smart if you think about it from like the government's point of view. It's basically the government, because it's basically the government finding a new way to tax people. It's like using the tax base to prop up these shitty failing companies that are colluding with the government
Yeah.
to create government propaganda. Um, that's why I was joking earlier about like, oh, you'd have to create a fascist system where the companies would be colluding with the government. Well, that we're there. They are. Like, if remember the Twitter files where you had all these major companies that were literally in league with the Democratic Party to
Yeah.
like censor political candidates.
Going on right now on Facebook, from what I hear.
Yeah, Facebook, old Twitter, maybe new X. Who knows? I don't know.
No,
Um,
Well, X has a, you're allowed to say what you want so far. I haven't experienced any. Uh,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I guess for now it's better than it used to be, but they could easily still be like handing over user data and information. They could still be collecting like user data, whether they're straight up censoring or not. But yeah, you get the idea. So like those companies, I guarantee you Disney like is probably a huge supporter of I mean look how they fight with like Florida, the state of Florida and all that shit. And all those shows and movies we already talk about all the time.
yeah,
So yeah, all these companies are colluding with the government, and that's, in my opinion, that's what the ESG and then the DEI is. It's a part
yeah.
of. I mean, Sweet
It's all
Baby Inc.
Marxism. It's all Marxism.
Yeah, but I mean, I would say it's very clever. It's very smart from their perspective because they're like, okay, well, we're running out of money. We're borrowing trillions of dollars, and now we're printing money. Like we can't raise taxes. So what's another way to basically prop up these failing companies that we're colluding with to censor the U.S. population, create propaganda? Like, oh, okay, well, we'll just use the two biggest, um, like holders of 401ks in the country to fund these companies to become minority shareholders or like a significant or like a majority shareholder in some cases, and then we'll use it to put all the fund money into. And yeah, and companies like Sweet Baby Inc. I mean, they're Canadian. Like, they're just an extortion racket. They're like, hire us to fuck up your company through DEI, or you know, we'll tell people you're bigots or whatever.
Yeah,
Like,
I really
we'll
don't know what kind of pull they have, why people still use them, especially now that.
because
Um,
they have the media, they have all kinds of pressure. They have
I
media.
guess
Like,
so.
look at all the articles that are written about the Chinese like these retarded American like this Canadian consulting agency has any sway over Tencent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they try. I mean, through social pressure, basically. That's what
Well,
they
I think
do.
also
That's what.
BlackRock was pretty instrumental in the 2008 like bailout in housing. I think that's where
Mhm.
they got the bulk of their money and power was in
Yeah.
2008, and
Right.
now
They're
using it. You know.
yeah. They're bailed, and yeah, but yeah, exactly. They're bailed out by the government. But when the government does that, it's not like it's not like they're not just doing it out of the kindness of their heart. Like it's a favor.
Yeah,
You owe them.
but again, we're seeing all
So
this Marxism just play out, and they tell you all this is it's in Orwell's. It's all Orwellian stuff. It's really happening when they tell you all the lies that they're telling you, and doing it through film and television and comics and every
you think you think
you
it's Marxism? I think it's fascism.
know.
Oh, what happened? Oh, William had to answer a phone call right in the middle of our intense philosophical political discussion. All right, I'm gonna shill some stuff. How about that? Hey everybody, check out the website. Let's see. Oh, new news. Um, so share this tab. So if you guys sign up for the Mercenary Guild, and I will be sending out an email, probably in the next week or so. But since we were at Heroes Con, Luke decided to do this awesome, incredible piece with the main four characters. It's completely original art that he did. So it's 11 by 17, traditional ink, pencils, inks on paper. And what we're going to do at the end of the year, I think we're going to do at the end of the year, we're going to raffle off that piece and everyone who has signed up for the email newsletter, and I guess we'll announce it once we get close. But everyone that's on the email newsletter subscription form will be automatically entered into the raffle to win that original piece of art. And it's got.
Sorry, I had to take that call. So
Oh, you're good. I've been shilling the raffle for Mercenary Guild. I was telling the folks at home. So what we decided to do with that piece, that original piece with Malchus, Bane, and
uh,
Zeth that Luke did. So if you sign up for the email newsletter for Mercenary Guild, you're automatically entered, including everyone who's already signed up, into the raffle. And I think we're going to try to raffle it off at the end of the year, probably. Nice little Christmas gift.
okay.
Um, so because we were talking about it, we're like, huh, why not just have this for just Heroes Con signups? Like, why not, give this option to all the people, all the beautiful people who've already signed up for the email newsletter. So
Okay.
while you're on that call, I was saying for the viewers that we have listening, if you haven't already, sign up for the email newsletter because you'll be entered in automatically into that raffle, whether you like it or not.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, I was saying, I don't think it's Marxist. I think it's fascist, which I guess was also Orwell, because Orwell wasn't really talking about a particular form of socialism. He was just talking about like a neo, like postmodern socialism, where it would
Yeah.
have the state would, through technology and uh, surveillance technology, would have basically total control over your life and your movements, like throughout society, who you interacted with, your relationships. They would have total. They would basically have all the data on you, which is pretty much where we're at now. I
Yeah.
mean,
That's where we're at.
big corporations collect data on people. They have a backdoor to all the federal agencies, and then there's also NSA, and yeah, they have basically everything. They pretty much have all our movements because we carry a microphone in our pocket everywhere we go, and that's how you get ads now. Where if you basically just have a conversation about something, your phone will be like, "Oh, hey, I heard you talking about X. Check out this thing that you were talking about."
Yeah.
Like that happened to Kyle last weekend. Um, yeah. So, anyways, I think from their perspective, it's pretty clever. Obviously,
Oh,
for
it is.
us, it sucks.
It's working. It's working.
It's working.
They're getting
People,
away with it. They've
yeah,
rigged the
for now.
2020 election. They're getting
Yeah,
away with everything they're doing.
I mean, people just don't care. Like, people are so apathetic. Um, People are pussies. I don't know how else to say it. Like,
Well, this is
they
a
just don't care.
psychological and spiritual attack as well. It isn't just uh, so it's attack on beating them down. Beat them down, wear them out, get them to the point where they're not charged up anymore, and you can just take them over.
Yeah, and you have like grifters on. I mean, I guess from our side, our perspective, you have these grifters that are like constantly. Um, it's it's weird. It's like a false sense of hope where they're rage baiting, so it's like simultaneously exhausting people. Um, but
Yeah,
they're trying to use people's negative energy to be like. So the false hope comes in where they're like, "Oh, you should get super angry about this new thing." Like, "Oh, look, now they're gonna charge Trump with felonies in New York." And it's like, "Oh, get mad and
yeah,
vote for Trump." But like, it's the false hope of, "Oh, well, vote for Trump. Like, that'll fucking do anything. Like, that will actually change the country or like change the trajectory of the country." Like, it's not gonna change. It's not gonna change anything.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, the economy was doing better under Trump, but like, it didn't change all of the shit. In fact, it arguably made it worse
Yeah.
because then like the mask slipped. They're like, oh shit, we got to go full steam ahead on our agenda.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
like
Bring
we're
about. Yeah.
so
Yeah. He was. I think TFM. You say he's going to slow the bleeding, but the collapse is inevitable, and
yeah. So
what
it's
Joe Biden will accelerate it, and that's exactly what he's done. So
yeah. So it's weird, but yeah. That's why everyone needs to form a community of like-minded individuals. You know, do things in your individual lives. Don't be exhausted and overwhelmed by the shit you can't control because you're not going to get them in 2024. You're not going to get them in 2028. Like,
yeah.
I mean, at that point, you're just part of the problem. Like, you're not like if it's too if it's too daunting to think about doing something on a large scale, then just think about doing something in your personal life. Like you
Yeah.
can do plenty of stuff on in your personal life. That's very productive, mind you. Like you could be very productive in your personal life and do things that are way more satisfying than focus on um, shitty politics and culture war bullshit.
Yeah. But some
Like,
people are making money off it, so they're monetizing it.
yeah. I mean, yeah. If you're making money, but then I'm talking to the people who aren't making money off of it, because those people are making money off of you. Like
Yeah.
if you're not making money, then you're the sucker that's like, you're sucked into all this bullshit. It's not healthy. It doesn't do anything for you at the end of the day. So, like, obviously, it's good to keep up with current events and know
Yeah.
what's going on in the world. But if you're I guess, uh, if you're the type of person who thinks you're an activist, like, you're not an activist. You're not active by definition.
Yeah.
So you're an internet activist.
A phony.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyways, that's all I have to say about that.
yeah, we'll see how it shakes out. Again, I always thought, well, if they lose enough money, but now it's like, no, losing money is not even that doesn't phase them. They're gonna just keep
No, yeah,
lose all the money they want. Who cares? So my thing is just get them out of my life. Just carve my own area and just not consume it, not let the psychological and spiritual attack affect me by
yeah,
again, because I still believe garbage in, garbage out. If you're gonna if I'm gonna sit and watch the freaking acolyte, it's gonna have an effect on me that's negative rather than positive, and I'm not gonna do that.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things you could do. Um, yeah, you definitely have to find some kind of spiritual outlet.
Yeah,
I mean, you gotta, and like, I don't want to go too religious, so I'm just say one of the easiest ways to find a spiritual outlet is to find something you can be a part of that's bigger than you. But being a being a phony activist isn't like it makes you think you're a part of something bigger than you, but it's not healthy for you. Like you have to be a part of that's a bigger than you that's healthy.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
like joining your local rugby team. Like that's healthier because you actually get out and exercise.
yeah,
Like finding a group of friends to play Hell Divers. Like that's entertaining.
yeah,
That's gonna provide you more satisfaction and spiritual growth than doing something than bitching online about something that's totally out of your control. So that's what I mean by like I mean, doesn't have to be metaphysical spiritual. It just has to be something that makes you
Yeah,
content.
some positive, that
Yeah, like going to the gym, getting a buddy and going to the gym.
or just playing rock and roll on guitar or something like
Yeah,
that.
learn an instrument, play in a band. Like you don't have to be professional. You don't have to even go to open mics. Just get together with buddies and start a garage band and fuck around
Yeah.
like a couple days a week.
Yeah.
Go out fishing. Go do stuff outdoor. It's funny, all these fucking YouTubers that tell people to go touch grass. Like I'm sure if you added up all of their what I should say watch time. Like you add up all the upload videos, if they're uploading daily, and then you extrapolate all the hours it takes to edit those videos together, so they can generate
And
their clicks
to
and
research them and to research
yeah,
them.
well, I, I assume they're too lazy to do that. So I'll just be conservative and say like, yeah, like several hours, even like the lowest effort content, they mostly just record live and then chops them up or send to an editor, like to get in the algorithm. Like
Yeah.
what fucking time do they have to go out and touch grass? I don't know why they keep telling everyone to go touch grass. Like these guys they live on the internet.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm gonna say don't go touch grass. Like go play in the grass.
Yeah.
Go hang out, like go fishing, go do something outdoors, go take a walk for an hour a day. Go do something like that.
Yep.
Make a hobby. Buy a comic book, read a comic book, write a comic book, learn to draw comic books. That's what we chose to do.
Yeah. I'm not gonna.
So
I just not even gonna get involved in that shit. I mean, I catch a few things here and there. Yeah, how's this? How's that? But I'm kind of done. I mean, the message I get is that mainstream whatever hates me uh, for being a straight white male, and that's fine. I'm out. I'm done. Just
yeah, you just check out. I mean, they need you. They need us.
they do.
We need them. So
Yeah.
yeah, and I mean, and at least support people who are independent creators. Like if you're just gonna consume stuff and you're not going to produce or create anything, at the very least, like have enough of a motivation to like do a little bit of Google searching and like just say okay, I like anime. Just say I'm like a random guy who likes anime. Instead of being like, oh, I'm just gonna watch like 4 anime on Netflix, or like I'm gonna subscribe to Crunchyroll and just watch like whatever the newest Shonen Jump book is. Like do some research, figure out maybe anime isn't the best analogy because it's not as gay as like Western media is, as fucked up. So I'll just say like, okay, say you had a pull list at a comic shop for like 8 years, and you're like, oh, modern comics suck balls. They're fucking awful. I hate this. Why am I just buying a book to throw in a long box that I'll never read? This
Right.
sucks. These people hate me. Well, there's probably like a whole other side of a rack that you've never even looked at, or like boxes of books that you've never even considered, or just Google some crowdfunding campaigns, like go to Fund My Comic. Check out. I'm not even just saying this like to shill for us for Shattermare. I'm just
Yeah.
saying like go make a couple of Google searches. Like don't type Marvel, just type comics. Even like some of the stuff Image is doing.
Yeah. Or go to Alterna. You can
Go
get
to
comics dirt cheap there.
Yeah,
Uh,
go to Alterna. Like check
different
out
time.
Blood Realm. I gotta see when I'm getting my copies of that actually. I gotta check. But like you know what I heard recently? Now that some of these properties have left, was it IDW, and they went to Skybound and Image, which is basically just Robert Kirkman's
Right.
imprint from Image. Like people are fucking loving GI Joe and Transformers now.
Yeah.
Like there is a significant improvement because Shocker, like this guy actually gives a shit and is passionate about creating interesting stories and comics, and he's basically solely responsible for, I shouldn't say solely, but he's responsible for them, and has control over them. Now, just almost overnight, people are like, "Wow, this stuff is getting so much better."
Yeah, it's probably two of the best selling, but I would, I may check them out just because I'm not a huge GI Joe and Transformers fan, but if they're just good comics, maybe I can get into them,
Yeah,
and that'll be
I
my
just
new
picked up
thing.
I just picked up the trade for the Transformers book because I was just like, support my
Okay.
local shop, and like, yeah, I've been hearing good things. And so if you're the type of person that's like, oh, is this book popular or cool so I can get into it? Yeah, it is. So do that. Do like some of these other, and GI Joe and Transformers aren't like niche indie IPs. Like these are brands that have been around for decades, but now there's a revitalization in like Ninja Turtles and Transformers and GI Joe. So this is it's not a bad time to be into comic books.
No.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so do that. Like if you're just gonna consume stuff and not create stuff, not everyone can put in the time and effort and money and resources to create art. But if you're just gonna consume it, at least you know at least find something that's enjoyable, made by people who don't fucking hate you.
Yeah. Yeah, and those are good
That's
choices. And there's a
so.
Conan comic out by Titan.
That's right. Conan's out now with Titan. Yeah. Holy shit.
That's a lot
Oh,
of
you'll
people.
appreciate this. I So they had a Frazetta booth at Heroes Con,
Oh,
and
cool.
I picked up a little like chrome Zippo lighter for Death Dealer. It's pretty dope. And they had
Oh,
little
that's
like
awesome.
Death Dealer trading cards. So I got a couple of packs of those. But
I
yeah,
would definitely pick something like that up. Yeah.
it was sweet, man. I mean, next year
I can
for
probably
sure.
find
Got to
one.
get you out there, man.
I can
Yeah,
probably
you can get them. Oh, the little cards. Yeah, you can get like packs of them on eBay for like I think they cost $3 or no, they were 5, but on eBay you could probably get them for like 7. You can get
yeah.
like a whole set for like of the actual collectible cards for like $25. Like someone just curated it for you. But yeah, no man, I'll it like next year if I can't get you out here and there's stuff you want me to pick you up, I'll just pick it up and ship it to you.
Okay,
So,
cool.
um,
Well, should
yeah,
we think about wrapping up a little bit, or
yeah, I think it's a good spot to end it.
I mean, I
This
put an
will,
article there, but we've already talked about it with the subclasses of Dungeon Dragons and all those stupid
yeah,
changes
I,
to make it. And,
yeah, I figure we could talk about the new 48 recipes of bland, shitty D&D classes next time, or
yeah,
whatever the article's called. And then I saw you put the video of the Zeb Wells or the Amazing Spider-Man number 51 review. We
yeah.
can we can we can watch that next week too.
He reviews a lot of Spider-Man content, and he's not been happy with Zeb Wells. And he's a pretty like open-minded guy who has a pretty high
Yeah,
tolerance for crap. And so I think I would even be more disappointed with Zeb Wells. But
yeah, man.
uh,
Oh, we also didn't get time to do this week is talk about, I guess, Yaira reviews are coming out for
I've seen a few.
Eric
Seen a few.
Elias. we could
Seen a
we could
few.
watch a video on that.
We could hear a lot
Chat,
of.
let us know if you wanna see that.
Well, yeah, I've
People
heard.
watching at home.
I know Dick Masterson do a lot of girl boss stuff, but what I was so you remember that trailer,
Hmm.
that live action trailer?
Right,
So that's in the book. What happened there? But apparently there's
right, but
ice
the
everywhere.
trailer's shittier.
Right,
Yeah, like the
because
trailer's unrendered version.
yeah, so there's no ice in it. It would have made a little bit more sense, I guess, if the area was
They
covered with ice.
they
You know,
must
it's
have
like
ran out of budget or something because they
I think
couldn't
so. They ran out of budget or
CGI in
time.
some ice. They couldn't find like an ice blowing machine, you know,
Yeah.
just to make it
So
rain little icicles.
it would have improved the trailer. It wouldn't have made
Right.
it good, but it would have improved it.
That's probably what they thought, to be honest. They're probably like, "Oh, this trailer fucking sucks. Like, should we really spend the CGI just to make sure like this one scene makes sense when the rest of this is pretty bad, or should we just make it awful?
Let's just finish it up and get the hell out of here.
Just
You know,
yeah, just cut our
Some,
just cut our cut
something
our
to show.
losses.
Have something to
Yeah,
show.
yeah, but just don't show it.
I know.
remember,
Yeah.
remember when Luke wanted to show the initial Mercenary Guild trailer, and I was like, "Hey, man, I'd like to see if I can add some stuff to the." Not to say that like it would have been terrible, but no, there's like just some level of some standard of quality control, whether where you're like, "Hey, I think we should sit down and review this.
Yeah.
We should look at what you're working on." That would have been nice for for pretty much everything Eric's worked on. That would be nice. I would appreciate that. We've got editors. I'm sure our editors would be happy to have the work. You know, he doesn't have
Yeah.
to use our editors either specifically. Just an editor. Just go to Fiverr and type
Well,
in.
he's got the Saska sisters editing. So
Holy
I mean,
shit!
yeah. So that there
Yeah, but
there's
they can't write.
there's no. He doesn't understand.
Oh,
Don't
all right.
understand. What are you gonna
Yeah,
do?
on the
What do
on the
you,
next episode of Shattermare Live. That's
what can you do? Is they're the keepers of his lore. Dude. Seriously, they are planted in like a Alabama tick on a
yeah,
bloodhound.
they're like a
Like
tick on his butthole.
yeah, they're there, man. They are in entrenched. So yeah, more girl boss and this and that and bad writing. And I'm glad I bowed out when I did. I really am. Um,
Oh, before we leave, could I tell you a story?
okay.
I don't know if I've told you this story before. So when we started out, we hired a female editor. Uh, I don't know. I probably her gender doesn't have to do anything with it. More the fact that she was just incompetent. Um, but it could play a role. I don't know. So when we first started out, before I ran into Phantasm, basically, uh, we were all fresh and new, and like we were. I think this is when no, this is when the original our current DM was the original writer. This is before Kyle became the head writer.
Okay.
uh, we didn't, none of us really knew what we were doing because we're just like, oh, cool, it's a comic book. Like, it can't be that hard, right? But like, I would look at some of the comic script that we've seen that we could get a hold of, and like, oh, this is like a real movie script. We should probably like have someone to edit this and who actually knows what they're talking. And so this girl worked at one of the local shops that I go to back in the day, and so we go there, and I was talking to her, and I'm like, I don't know how it came up. I think I just mentioned that we're working on a comic book, and she's like, "Oh, let me know if you guys need help, working on this as like an editor of the art or whatever." And I'm like, "Oh, really? You could do that? That'd be awesome." And she's like, "Yeah, I helped my sister with her comic book. She has a web comic. I'm not gonna go into detail there. I don't uh, know if I should talk about that or not, but it's a legit thing." And she was anyway. She's basically gassing up like her sister's accomplishment and her sister and I guess her husband or whatever, and like, yeah, and they've got product in some like bigger retail chain stores like merch and stuff, and they've got through their web uh, comic and stuff, and it's pretty big. I'm like, oh, this is cool. And so we hired her, and she was gassing people up, just like the Sasko sisters did to Eric.
Mhm.
Um, I think she was probably flirting with at least one of us in there because she's now dating one of the original guys that was in the was involved in the comic.
Okay.
And so uh we would do like meetings and so on and so forth. But eventually, I'm going to speed it up for the sake of brevity. Eventually, I started to realize like I'm not really getting any output from this person. Like eventually, we did what she needed us to do. You know what I mean? Like okay, what like it would become oh. Here's an excuse. I can't do my job until the art's at this certain point. I can't do this. And so, I'm trying to manage this project and make sure we make progress and say, okay, well, I understand. And the original artist is not the artist that we landed on. And so I'm like, okay, well, I've seen comic scripts. You don't have to have the art ready. We can have a script. So I'm like, okay, let's focus on that. And so I think one day I just straight up told her, look, if you're a comic book editor and you worked on this and that, I'm going to give you this descriptive, like a novel, like what you gave me when we
Right.
first met. I'm going to give you basically this descriptive, version of what we want to go with. And you're going to work with the writer. And I think at this point it was Kyle because she basically pissed off the original writer to where he, uh, I mean, it was only part of the issue, but where he was also just like, well, fuck this. I hate working with this person. and, And so I just straight up said, "Look, uh, I need you to turn this into a comic script. That's what we're doing." And literally, as soon as I challenged her on that, she made excuses and quit like a week later. She was like, "This is too hard. I can't handle this." So I found out basically she was lying to us the whole time. She didn't work with her sister or help her sister. She quote unquote helped her sister by like hanging out with her and talking to her about her idea
Yeah.
while she while her and her husband actually like rolled with the idea and did all the fucking work
Yeah.
and she did nothing. And then so she was trying to take a bunch of credit. Um so I say all that just to say that again I kind of feel bad for Eric cuz I feel like we're kind of kindred spirits. Like I went through some of the same shit, but at the end of the day I had the balls to be like, "Look, do your fucking job or you're fired."
Yeah.
Like, actually do something of quality and I'll pay you for it. And luckily, like, I had a contract with her, so she couldn't, like, like squirm or weasel her way out of, you know, like doing the fucking job. Like, it was like, look, this is the task you're getting paid for. So if you want to get paid, do the task. Like, do this. It's right here. Do the fucking thing that this is your job. You're an editor, right? Um,
Yep. Get going.
so yeah, so I don't know what the fuck kind of bullshit deal he ended up doing with the Soskas, but
No idea.
it's pretty obvious that if you're selling like ISOM books for multiple millions of dollars, and then even if you're pivoting to this Yaira book and you can't even cross like 1.5 million or whatever it was, uh, why the fuck are they like the keepers of your lore? Like, why would you even give them that level of authority without testing, like seeing if they're like viable at writing and editing. Um, so again, he's fucking stupid, or he's fucking them, or he's doubling down, and it's
Something's
his
going on.
ego,
Yeah.
and something's going on. Yeah, something uh, that's either out of his control. Like people speculate that he's an employee, that's why he's constantly bringing up NDAs and shit. even though it's your company. Like, the fuck, you idiot! Like, you don't have to say you're NDAing yourself. Like, I'm I'm the majority owner of Shattermare. I can say whatever the fuck I want about this company.
Yeah.
I'm not violating an NDA on myself.
Well, and again,
What the fuck are you
as long
talking
as
about?
this crew is going, man, you're just not going to get quality, and so that's why I noped out. I just don't have any. Well, obviously his fans are gonna keep buying his stuff. I don't even know if they read it, but I'm done. I'm not just gonna throw money at
Yeah,
somebody
of
because they
course.
say they're not woke.
Right. Well, you
No,
pay attention to their deeds and his work is literally woke.
yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, it just seems so dumb. Like, don't you care about your shit? Don't you care? Like, I I don't understand why he feels the need to defend these people. Like, oh, I'm defending. These are my employees. They're like my family. Like, wouldn't you rather succeed? Like, I mean, no offense, but if you were like those people, William, I would drop you like a bad habit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, like we become friends, like our values align, so there's like a connection between us. But if you were fucking me over, if you were literally a liability to my company, uh, that
Yeah,
would
you
be it.
gotta get clipped, man.
Yeah, this is gonna get clipped. No, but you know what I mean. Like, if it was that bad to where you had these people coming in and they were a liability fucking up your business, I wouldn't just be like, oh, I wouldn't double down and quadruple down and triple down to where I'm like, oh yeah, it's really you guys. Like, what kind of fucking dumbassery is that? Like, you should care about your own company if it's your company, more than like your image with these people. Because if you think about it, that's literally the easiest strategy you could go for. Like, oh, I'm so sorry, guys. They made a really bad book. I'm firing these people. Like,
Yeah,
oh, like companies do that all the time. Oh, look at the image of this person. We don't like companies are so scared about having bad PR. They're like, oh, they fire people immediately. They want to be so sanitary. Like, it's so easy to throw your employees under the bus.
yeah.
I don't know why he wouldn't just do it. Like, imagine the credibility he would regain if he was like, okay, I heard you guys. I see it. I'm running a business here. I had to let him go. Sorry. They wrote a shitty book. It underperformed. They made their incest porn. They're
Yeah.
they're really bad directors. They fucked up a trailer. Sorry, like I don't know what I was thinking. I
Well,
was an
because I think
idiot.
he has the same blinders that people like Disney do. He just on the whereas he didn't do anything wrong. There's something wrong with you, and he doesn't see anything wrong with it, and that's the real. And I believe that. I believe that. And okay, so this is the bar you've set. It doesn't come up to what I want, so I'm out. But good luck.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's weird. Like you'd think that for a guy who's so egotistical and in this, like he's just in it for himself. Like you just look at the stuff he does and how he runs his business.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
he just doesn't give a fuck about anybody. Why does he then extend that to these two random bitches that he hired?
I don't know.
Like
There's got something else going
I
on.
that's why people are speculating about all kinds of shit because it's like his motivation even for stuff that would track with his personality doesn't make sense. So, yeah, I won't go into all the speculation. There's multiple channels that do that and they have a great time with it, Go listen to them, I guess, but um yeah, it's just that's what is weird to me. Like, have some fucking balls, man. Just stand up to these people, like fire them, get rid of them. Like, what are you doing? I don't know.
I don't know. Well, we'll see how it plays out. It's kind of fun to watch, but
Yeah, it's definitely entertaining. It's like it's a really good case study because it's like the I guess what did like people like Ethan say that like he'll be like the modern cross gen. Like it's a
yeah,
if you remember well yeah if you remember cross gen. I was gonna say that might be before my time, but uh like I think it was what 90s, late 80s, early 90s,
something
mid
like that.
90s, something like that. So could turn out to be like that. It is definitely entertaining to watch. Um, it's also it's a good like case study of what not to do.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, for sure.
so yeah, so we'll see.
And it gives me more confidence as a creator. I think I've come up with a better story and whatnot. So, you know,
Yeah, he to be fair, he's setting the bar really low.
yeah, it's like I don't have to. I can kind of just hop over it, and you know.
Yeah,
So, thank you.
yeah.
Thanks. I mean,
Thanks. That's a
I
gift.
can say it's better than this. This made to $10 million or whatever. So there you go.
It should be like we should get like a stamp. It's like a seal of approval, and the seal is like a gold stamp, and it has like like a piss yellow stamp. It's like Eric July or ISOM. It's like this is better than ISO, and then in parentheses like the comic, so we don't get sued by the church
Yeah.
for trademark infringement. Yeah, like verify. We guarantee you this is better than Yairo or your money back.
That's right.
We're gonna put that on the crowdfunding campaign.
Yeah, we'll get some weirdos showing up at our booth probably. After that,
Oh man,
some of his fans.
yeah, yeah. I mean, probably people we've met before, unless they're like the really weird, creepy fans. But you know what? That's okay. We
Yeah,
can we can turn them into Mercenary Guild and Hardly Heroes fans.
that's right.
So, um, yeah, that sounds good. So yeah, stay tuned for next week. Maybe we'll look at some Yaira reviews and we'll talk some I guess new D&D content and Amazing Spider-Man and at some point we got to get Shannon back on talk about conventions since we're
Okay.
fresh in the convention season here.
All right. Sounds
But,
good.
so cool, man. Um, anything else before we
Nope.
go?
I think I'm good. I just want to say thanks to the chat and everything else. I appreciated being here and I had a good time.
Yeah, same. Thank you guys for listening to us. I know it's pretty late, so it's cool that everyone stuck around, and we'll catch you all next week. Okay,
Night all.
goodbye.